Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. According to his great mercy, he has caused us to be born again to a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who by God's power are being guarded through faith for a salvation ready to be revealed in the last time. Join us for the 2025 G3 National Conference here in Atlanta, Georgia on September 11th through the 13th. We hope to see you there.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy Friday, you guys. I am on CP time tonight. I am fashionably late. And the reason is because Fridays are just chaotic. Like, I need y'all to understand and cut your girl some slack, right? Like, my goal is to be here at 8:30. However, I had a hair appointment today, and y'all know how I am about my hair. Like, the past couple of hair appointments were like, I was in dire straits, right? It had been like 8 and 10 weeks. And this time I was like, I can't go that long. So she fit me in and I was able to get it done. But, you know, by the time you get home and get all situated and stuff, and then try to pull all of your clips for the show and just make sure everything is working like it's working and it's never working like it's supposed to work, it caused me to be late. So, but here I am, like, I showed up, and I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here, and I am glad that you guys are here. And so I want to say hello to everyone in the live chat, especially if you're a first timer and you're like, you know, I always want to catch you live, but I can't. For some reason it happens, and then I got to watch the replay. And then the replay is not the same because there's like nobody watching it with you. So welcome to all those who are watching us live for the very first time. Shout out to my fellow content creators. I saw a few of you in the live chat. I saw a dear Black Christian. Y'all, that's my new homie. Shout out to you, Dr. Gordon. I see so many of my day ones. Sister Victoria. Hey, Sister Wendy. Hey, Miss AFS. Hi to y'all. He is officially my research assistant. None other than Marshall. Marshall is the official Standard of Truth podcast research assistant, because if it exists, y'all, Marshall's gonna find it. He's gonna find it, and he's gonna make sure that you have it, and you can't say that he did not send it to you, because he is constantly staying on top of what is happening and deciding what I need to know about. And I am thankful for that, because it cuts down on so much time. I don't think you guys realize how hard YouTube is. Not in the sense that, you know, you go live, press the button, and come on YouTube. That part is easy. What makes YouTube difficult is the fact that there are all these technology things going on behind the scenes, and then you have to know what you're talking about. So you have to actually research your topic, and then you kind of have to know what you're talking about. And then on top of that, it is watching all of the content, of which a lot of times I don't have the time to do. On top of the fact that the emails and the comments of all the people who's telling you, you know, that they don't like your content. And then the ones who are like, I love your content, and can you like do a video on these 10 things right here? So it is a lot, but I think I have finally found something that motivates me. On top of raising my kids and being a homeschool mom and a wife, I think I have found something that I love. So tonight's show is going to be a doozy. Okay, it's going to be a doozy because we need to discuss a few things that have been happening over the past couple of days, particularly in the realm of politics. So, as you guys know, I am a Christian. However, the purpose of the Standard of Truth podcast was to create a faith-based, biblically sound podcast that discussed all things social, right? So when you got stuff happening in the world socially and culturally, I talk about it. And then political, yes, we talk politics over here on the Standard of Truth podcast. And then theological. We cannot leave out some of the deep theological discussions that must be addressed that so many of us want to talk about. So we talk about all of those things. And so tonight, I am technically doing a twofer, right? It's a 2-for-1 show, meaning I was unable to go live this week. Like normally I'll do like a Tuesday or a Wednesday live stream. And I didn't get to do that because I actually attended a live event on Wednesday called Congress, Cognac, and Cigars. And I'm going to tell you guys all about it now that I've calmed down, right? Like my husband had to have a little talk with me and, put me on a little punishment. It was quite the event. So before we do that, let's get some housekeeping things out the way. First, I need you to like the video, right? It doesn't cost you anything to like the video. It's literally like your finger and you go like that. You like the video. What that does is that lets YouTube know that this content is popping, right? YouTube needs to know that the Standard of Truth podcast is popping and it is something that interests you and that it's something that interests others. So liking the video is one of the best ways that you can support me. The other thing I need you to do is, if you feel led, is to share it. Right? Share it with all your leftical friends and family. Share it with the conservative ones too. Share it with the urban independents and share it with the non-voters who like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here doing stuff. I don't even care. I don't know what happened. Why should I be interested? Share it with them too. And then lastly, there are ways that you can not only inspire me to keep going, but to literally help me to keep doing this. Is to support the show. There's so many ways that you can support the Standard of Truth podcast. You can do so right at the bottom. There's a nice little pink. Y'all know pink is my color. There's a ticker at the bottom that lets you know that you can support via Cash App. You can support on my personal link at paypal.me/ the Standard of Truth. I think that's what it's called or something like that. Or you can utilize YouTube's method, which is the super chat button. I ain't one to beg. I ain't never gonna ask y'all for no money. Why? Because I just think that's tacky, right? However, if the content is valuable to you and you just want to support the work that I'm doing here, to tell me to keep going, to say, hey, I know all that equipment is expensive, because it is. It is expensive. And they're just monthly recurring costs to producing a great show. I would love for you guys to partner with me and support me in those efforts. So now that we've gotten that out the way, okay, we need to just go on and put that down. And we're going to recap what happened this week, right? So where was I, right? Like Waldo, I was in the streets. I was in the streets this week, and I attended a live event on Wednesday right here in Metro Atlanta, and it was called Congress, Cognac, and Cigars. And I was like, whoever came up with that name is fine by me. Not that I like cognac, because I've never actually tasted cognac, and in fact, I really don't like the smell of cigars. However, I knew where there was going to be cognac and cigars, there were going to be some people that looked like me that might be interested in having courageous conversations surrounding politics. And so I thought it was a very creative way to brand and market the event without, feeling ratchet, right? Like, it wasn't like twerking, Tito's and something else. It was, a little bit more classy, cognac and cigars. And this event was hosted by Congressman Wesley Hunt from Texas, and he had a special guest with him. He had Congressman Byron Donalds. And then, you guys, we had the pleasure of hosting the lovely, and she is a tall drink of water, let me tell you, Sage Steele, formerly of ESPN. She was the moderator of the event. And y'all, the whole room was just a vibe, right? Like, it had been so long since I had been out, because I don't really get to go nowhere. I work, y'all. I am a workaholic, right? Like, in my casket, they gonna be like, we had to nail that bad boy shut because that girl was trying to work. I work a lot. I don't feel productive if I am not working or doing something. So I'm always doing something. So the fact that I was able to get out to do something pseudo social, it was nice. And so I got out, the room was a vibe. There were just so many people there that I knew. It was just like, hey girl, hey you. And it was like, oh my homie, what's up? Like, it was that kind of event. And I met a few, fans of the show, took a few pictures, and it was just all good, right? It was just all love in the sense of, for people you don't know, it was just a vibe. And so the purpose of this event, from my understanding, was to get a feel for the pulse of what are Black men thinking, right? As it relates to this upcoming election, the Republican Party was making a concerted effort to say, we want to hear from Black men. We want to get them in a room together, right, around some cognac and some cigars, and see what they are thinking about the issues. What are the issues of the day that are important to them, and how are they feeling? And it was really a form, if I'm not mistaken, of outreach and engagement. Right? The invitation was extended across partisan lines. I found out about it from fellow conservatives, but I later found out that this invitation was extended to everybody, meaning conservatives, independents, liberals, Democrats, Republicans, like whatever you identify as, this event was for you. And so it was super crowded, and y'all know I'm old. And so, like, all that heat, all that heat with all those people, and it was hot, but it was crowded, and that was a good sign, right? And so we're there, and, I think that these types of meetings are important. They're important, and it's good when they're well attended, because honestly, the goal is to just have substantive conversations about real issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay? I'm going to do my best to remain calm, which is something that did not happen on Wednesday. It started out great. It really did. It really started out great. But I learned a lot about myself at this event, and I realized that I have a lot of growing up to do. Like, I just need to grow and stretch in some areas. My sanctification was tested, and I actually ended up apologizing. I apologized to my husband and just some ladies, that are in my conservative circle who, they've been conservative longer than I have. So, I just had a little open heart to heart with them last night, and I apologized. And I'll explain to y'all what I actually apologized about. But anyway, there was a ton of Black people there, right? Like, the whole spot was littered with melanin. Just beautiful. And the event coordinators, I would say, they did a good job of just getting the word out. And those were just some of the things that were good. Like, they had food there. And to my knowledge, the food was free, because I know I helped myself to some. And I don't know if I was out of order for doing that, but everybody else was kind of eating it too. But overall, the vibe, the fact that it was well attended, I wished the venue would have been larger. However, there's no way to know exactly how to plan for events like this, because it is not often that the Republican Party, the GOP, is hosting events specifically with the intent of trying to reach those who hate their guts. Okay, let's just be honest. And I mean, look, I'm inclined to understand. Okay, I'm inclined to understand. However, they get an A for effort for wanting to do something nice like that, and I just thought it was cool, right? So that was the good. Here's the bad. The bad is that, yes, it was way too crowded. Okay, I'm old, I get hot easy. Like, that's not a good combination for perimenopausal women. It's just not. It was standing room only, and in my opinion, I felt that there needed to be more security. Okay, I'm gonna say I needed to be more security because, in my opinion, when things started to get out of control, and in my opinion, they were at a point, we'll talk about it. I think the responsibility to kind of keep everyone calm, it rested too much on Sage Steele. Sage was the moderator of the event. Beautiful woman, learned so much from her, like, girl, calm down. But she had to kind of like bring the temperature of the room down, because there were times when I was like, oh yeah, a fight might break out up in here. And that's unfortunate and it's sad. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is because I go to conservative events all the time. All the time. And things don't get out of control like that. Like, people, even within conservative circles, when we disagree fundamentally with each other, it's just normal, okay? And so you kind of know where I'm going with this. This situation was different, okay? Things got a little bit out of control and out of hand, and I'm here to talk all about it, okay? Y'all know how I am. I'm going to be transparent and open, and I'm gonna keep it 100, and I'm not gonna hold my tongue, right? Because I'm grown. Like, after 40, you know how it is. Anyway, the flow of questions, in my opinion, should have been controlled. So this was set up like a panel. Sage was moderating. Byron Donalds, just gangster with it. Love Byron Donalds. He's sitting in the middle. Wesley Hunt is sitting next to him. And then all of us are kind of just out in the out. I can't really describe it. It's like a bar, and then they have like an upstairs area. And so that's just how the setup was. But I believe the flow of the questions should have been more controlled, and here's why. A situation broke out where I have reason to believe that there were some paid agitators in the room. Okay, mind you, I said I go to conservative events all the time. We disagree. Yes, people on the same side disagree. And I've never been in a situation where I was like, you need to go handle this, because them over there, they either need to calm themselves down or they need to go. So that's why I am saying I think that there were some paid agitators in the room. Either these individuals were paid agitators sent to purposely be disruptive and act a fool, or the Democrat Party has thoroughly succeeded in brainwashing and creating individuals who just lack civility everywhere they go. I'm not sure which one it is. Probably a little bit of both, and I don't know, but let me kind of explain why. So, both Congressman Hunt and Congressman Byron Donalds, these gentlemen spent a great deal of time talking about policy issues, right? I mean, I'm talking about the issues that are on everyone's mind, that are the most important this election cycle, right? So immigration was huge. They talked about the negative effects of, having an open border and how it impacts Americans. And what people don't understand is that to be conservative means that you have to have an American first agenda. It kind of just comes with the territory. Now, notice how I didn't say an America only agenda, right? That's not what I said. I said an America first agenda. I hope that doesn't trigger you. It shouldn't. It's just words, and we're going to talk about words and how they trigger people. But America first, like, it means that you don't get to plan on and attempt to save others, right, before you are taking care of home first. Like, when you go on a plane, right, they always tell you with the air mask, put your air mask on first, secure yours, and then you can go and rescue whoever else you want. Whether it's your child or another image bearer of God, but you make sure your mask is on first, right? When you're safe and secure, then you're able to go and help others. I like that analogy because that's how I look at what it means to have an America First agenda. So if you live in this country and you're concerned about our flourishing and our prosperity and all of the things that make this country a great place to live, you should be America First. So illegal immigration, they also talked about how it just drives wages down, right? Meaning people are out here crying about not being able to earn a livable wage, yet when the border is open, you really are not going to see a livable wage. In fact, first of all, what the heck is a livable wage? I don't like the terminology and I understand why they use it, but the idea that everyone is supposed to earn a certain amount makes absolutely no sense to me. Because all jobs are not created equal. And so therefore, there are some jobs that demand more skills and more education than other jobs. So you don't get to flip burgers and then demand to be paid like an anesthesiologist. No shade to people who flip burgers. All of us started somewhere. My first job was at at Hallmark. I wasn't really selling the greeting cards. I was at the candy counter and I was just dispensing candy, right? And I was making like $6.50 an hour. And I did that job well I wasn't a believer. So I put my best foot forward, right? Dispensing and eating the candy. But that job wasn't worth for me to get paid $15 an hour. I got paid $6.50 an hour in 1995 because that's what it was worth, okay? So legal immigration, other issues with it, we talked about how it impacts our revenue base, right? So if you're not here legally, you don't pay taxes. But these illegals are using our resources, and they're using resources that the rest of us are paying for, right? Like we have to house and educate and feed a bunch of people who did not contribute to the tax base, and that is a problem. Illegal immigration also, we discussed how it places an undue burden on social services, particularly the impact of Social Security. It was Wesley Hunt who was really driving this point home, and he passionately talked about how at the rate this country is going, we can't afford to do a lot of the things we're doing, and Social Security will be insolvent for both him and Byron, which means that's me too, because we're all around the same age. And so that is something we need to think about. But not only that, our schools cannot handle the burden of educating additional children who not only do they not speak the language, but they are already academically behind from their country of origin most times. And when you think about it, our own children are academically behind, especially in this post-COVID world. And truth be told, a huge proportion of our own children who are American born, they were born here and yet they can't really speak the language. Like, have y'all listened to Lil Woody from the Young Thug trial? If you listen to him speak, I promise you, I was like, what country is he from? Because I can't understand nothing that Negro was saying half the time. It literally sounds like another language, and I'm not even trying to be funny. But the overall idea is that American children are being pushed aside in favor of rolling out the red carpet for other people's children. And if anybody should understand that, it should be Black folks. I'm not done. We also talked about crime, right? And we talked about crime in the context of the illegal immigration crisis. We talked about how when illegals are allowed to come in without distinction, without being vetted, criminals are more apt to come over. Like if the word gets out, you can kind of just come into the United States and they not really checking for who you are, what you do, and why you're coming. The criminals are like, oh, well, that's where I need to go. All you have to do, look at New York City. Look at Oakland. Look at Chicago. In New York City, these illegals are, yes, I'm calling them illegals, okay? So don't come for me saying we don't, listen, this is a Standard of Truth podcast. We use words that actually have real meaning and we speak truth, okay? I'm not into sanitizing my language for, the weak at heart. I'm not doing it. But yes, the illegals, they're robbing people every day. And this is not fear mongering. These are things that are actually happening. The mayor of New York is telling you in all his liberal retardation that it is unsustainable. New York City, NYPD are struggling to keep up and keep Americans safe because they're trying to keep their eyes on all of these illegal aliens who are literally using city property, public transportational mechanisms such as those little scooters, right, to assault and rob people every single day. Like they're robbing people every single day, snatching phones, snatching purses. It don't matter, right? They're assaulting young women and young girls. And yet, I find it interesting that people actually get upset when I articulate what's really happening and they don't understand why I don't want to support illegal immigration, right? We have to keep in mind fentanyl, the sex trafficking, the gang activity. There are all sorts of different types of crime that are allowed to flourish, which places a burden on local police who are already not respected. Okay. And so we have to just have the conversation. And what Byron and Wesley Hunt were trying to help us understand was that, an administration who cares about the country would never open up the floodgates and just allow any and everybody to come here unless he was purposely trying to destroy the nation from the inside out or thinking that this would be a viable plan to replace a voting bloc, right? So they already had black folks as their electoral serfs since the civil rights operations of the 1960s. And now they figure, well, we'll just let these illegals in and we will, give them Biden-Harris t-shirts to wear and the sport. Because yes, some of them were wearing those. And then we will just have a loyal voter base to keep us in power in perpetuity. Okay, that's how it's working right now. What else did we talk about? The economy. The economy was also top of the list, right? There were some really hard truths discussed, such as our national debt. I know we don't like talking about it, but y'all, this country's in trouble. Like we are in so much debt. We're in debt to our eyeballs. We are broke. We ain't got it. Okay. We ain't got it. And we don't know where it's getting from. They just print the money, a lot of our money is being used in foreign affairs. And let the truth be told, with the uniparty, that is those fake Republicans, right? And the treasonous Democrats, so many of them are funneling money through this war complex, this war industrial complex. And they're leaving office like super paid. Okay. So we could have a conversation that didn't come up at the Cognac and Cigar event. That's just emphasis mine. But another topic that was brought up, which was very, very enlightening that needed to be discussed, was transportation and deregulation. That was also discussed. And that particular component was super important to me because of the industry that I'm in. I'm in the home furnishing industry. And during the pandemic, it was a busy time, but it was a bustling, profitable time for my industry as well as for the transportation industry. But the problem now is that I have friends who were owner-operators, right, who own their own trucks, who had to downsize and sell all of their fleet. because of the regulatory problems that are being placed, or the regulatory issues that are being placed on this industry, such as demanding that these big old tractor trailers be electric vehicle compliant or some foolishness like that, or just the environmental regulations, or just how a lot of these companies, particularly the larger ones that have a huge fleet, they drive the price of freight cost and mileage down so that the small guy, he's like, listen, it doesn't make sense for me to run from Florida to New York, because based on these rates that y'all are trying to pay me, I'm losing money, you know? And so that was important to me. And just regulation and deregulation in general, and having good trade deals. Like, these are things that you guys do not understand. These policies impact you because transportation is how goods are transported through this country. Plain and simple. Without our truckers, we don't have stability. And if the truckers are out of business and are unable to work and move product at a decent price, then that means all that stuff that you be wanting to order from Amazon. I know y'all think this just big like warehouse in the sky and they just pull it off the shelf and you click a button and it shows up. But those products have to be transported somewhere all the time. Commerce is happening all around us. And so prices end up going up for the consumer, because if our fuel costs are high and the freight costs are high, who do you think they're going to transfer those costs to you? Who they're gonna transfer those costs to? They're gonna transfer those costs to you. That's what I was trying to say. So anyway, so you would think, you guys, that after all of the issues that I just brought up, and that was just a small fragment of the issues that were discussed. After all of that was discussed, you would think that if someone had an issue with these topics, right, that they would present their disagreements or, push back in a clear and logical fashion. You would think that that's kind of like how it would work. Well, at least me. Maybe I'm naive. Well, that did not happen. That did not happen. That is not what happened at all. So now we got to talk about the ugly. Okay, after all of those things that were discussed, the ugly aspect of this event is, matter of fact, I can show you better than I can tell you. I'm going to share with you guys a few clips. And I had captured some of this footage myself. However, this was my first event where I brought my my Canon M50 camera. I don't know what I'm doing. I just got these wireless mics. I don't know what I'm doing. And it was just the whole setup with all those people. It was just a disaster. So I have personal footage of my own, but this is actually not my footage. But I'm going to share you guys some footage. And it's a clip of a gentleman who claimed that his parents were immigrants from from Jamaica. And I'm not saying I don't believe him. I don't know this dude. Fine, like whatever. But for me, the reason why I don't believe that, and it could be true, but I'm just telling you why it wasn't convincing for me. Because you guys, my people are from the Caribbean, right? Like, so between the Dominican Republic, St. Croix, St. Thomas, if you're from Jamaica, Trinidad, Antigua, like, we are a hardworking people, right? Like, we all like whining and begging. Like, that's foreign to me. Like, Caribbean people will work 4 and 5 jobs if we have to, because ain't nobody trying to go back to their country of origin, right? Or to stay permanent. Like, they go to visit, right? But they're not like, I just want to go back. No, if you're going back, it's because you got deported, okay? Like, INS came to get you. They came knocking at the door, and they like, it's time for you to dip. That's how that typically works. If you've come here from one of those countries, you are grateful to be here, and you are killing the game because you understand that America is as good as it gets, okay? But like I was saying, he claimed that his parents were from Jamaica. And typically Jamaican parents, they raise people a certain way. So I'm giving you some context. But after everything that I just recapped in terms of what was discussed And I didn't even talk about the solutions that both congressmen presented. I want you guys to take a listen to what this particular individual's chief concern and complaint was. Take a listen to this.
There was a vote about the representative, the local representative, that brought up an amendment to the defense bill to reinstate a Confederate monument that has a depiction of a mammy receiving a white baby from a Confederate soldier. Of the 4 people that voted to have that reinstalled, 3 of them, 2 of them on the stage, 3 of them were our black Republicans, right? Of the 4 black Republicans, 3 of them voted to yay on that. That vote almost passed. Something like 206 to 192. I don't understand, from descendants of black slaves, why you think that isn't a principled position. So I think when we talk about to black men, it seems deceptive to come in here and talk about issues and then vote what seemingly isn't based on principle.
Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general that fought against the rights of people that looked like me. Wesley Hunt, for a year, spent a year living in Robert E. Lee barracks. Every single day that I walked beneath that threshold, I looked up and saw that name and thought to myself, damn, this is a great country. Because only in America do you have 3 black children matriculate through the premier leadership institution of the entire world and graduate from there and live in a barracks named after a Confederate general. Only in America. And if it were named anything differently, I wouldn't have that perspective. Do you think I support the Confederacy? Don't kid yourself. Of course I don't. Excuse me?
Wow.
Of course I don't. See, this is what happened to you last time. This is what happened to you last time. I'm trying to have a nuanced conversation.
You don't forget about where you're from. Don't
never-
paint the picture. Don't tell us that we can't educate our kids on the opportunity. We're talking about vouchers. You're talking about things that's still going to cost more money.
So the point I'm making is that I actually do understand
You
where I came
don't.
from.
You don't
I
understand.
totally
It's
recognize
obvious.
the value
It's
of that.
obvious.
And what I want to say is, at no point in time will I ever be a victim. That's why
Everybody
I'm sitting
has a
here right
story,
now.
is my
And
point.
I don't care what the name of
What
the
are you
statue
going to
was.
do?
And I don't care what the name of the
Everybody
building
has
is.
an opinion. What are you going to do?
I don't care what the name of the building is because
I'm a black
I
dad. This is a
am
conversation
not.
for black men. And all I hear is people that are non-black trying to hush me. I came here from my family.
I think
I came here
we
from
had
my church.
we
But
had
I can't
security.
hear that, but I'm getting all the stories.
I need you to talk with respect. My goodness, this is not kindergarten.
So you guys saw and heard that. And let me just essentially recap. So that before I played that, didn't I explain like all of the policies and the issues that were discussed? We talked about some of them. You guys, literally this, after all of that, I mean, we talked about school choice, immigration, the economy, energy. We talked about taxes, small business. We talked about things of so much substance. And after that conversation, when they finally opened up the mic, this was the chief concern and complaint. So I want to, for a moment, I don't know. I kind of just want to talk about this Confederate monument for a moment. I want to talk about the Confederate monuments. Y'all know words don't scare me. They don't hurt me. They don't bother me at all. So I want to talk about this Confederate monument. And you guys, I have so many questions. Okay. I have so many questions. In fact, I actually asked this gentleman, and then there was another one before him who started crying about this monument before him. Like, he was way more off into it than this guy was. And I actually asked him the same question. That was part of how I got in trouble and why I'm on punishment. But before this guy, there was this other pavement ape. And yes, I'm calling him a pavement ape. And just let me explain what a pavement ape is. A pavement ape is a moronic male who cannot function in freedom. It has nothing to do with what you look like. It has nothing to do with your external or your dermis. Nothing like that. This is a behavioral characteristic. This is the male counterpart to the orangutan. It's the pavement ape, right? This pavement ape starts yelling and being real aggressive over this Confederate monument. Y'all, like, he was angry, and he was angry because of how Wesley Hunt, Byron Donalds, and Burgess Owens voted concerning whether or not the monument should be reinstated. Now, the monument's been down since December, and then there was a vote to reinstate the monument. So before we talk about that, I just want to give my opinion on monuments. I take grave issue with the fact that this country has a very checkered and painful past. It's not all glamorous. It's not all beautiful. It's not all pretty. Like, it's none of that. It's some aspects of it that's gritty. There are some aspects of it that is really, really grimy. But you don't, when people start coming along wanting to tear down monuments, wanting to rip names off of streets and stuff like that, that tells you there's something going on from an emotional maturity and emotional stability standpoint, that these inanimate objects that represent times and periods in history that we should not forget. Like, you need to remember, you should know who Robert E. Lee is. You should know who Stonewall Jackson is. Like, you should know the names of all of these people and who they were, what they represented, what they stood for. Like, we need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nothing wrong with that. But I have never approached or seen a monument of any kind that triggered me to where I just couldn't function in life. So this whole grown man who, one, did not wait his turn. He didn't wait to be acknowledged. He just started yelling and getting all aggressive, and he wanted to know, why did Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt vote against the reinstatement of this monument? So before I give this whole situation the business, because I'm about to give it the business, let me read to you guys. There's this article that was published on the 14th from, I want to say it is the Washington Post. Yes. June 14th, Washington Post. I want to read this article to give you guys the proper context. So here it goes. Almost 200 House Republicans voted Thursday to reinstall a Confederate memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. All of the House GOP leadership, including House Speaker Mike Johnson and Rep. Elise Stefanik, voted for the measure. Representative Byron Donalds of Florida, a Black conservative. Notice how, let me just stop right there. I think it is so interesting that they don't describe Speaker Mike Johnson as a white Republican or Representative Elise Stefanik. I don't even know what her ethnicity is. I guess, is she white or is like some kind of Hispanic hybrid? I don't know. I've seen her before, but I don't know what she is. But they don't say, a white Republican from New York. But when it gets down to Byron Donalds, the Republican from Florida, he's a Black conservative and Donald Trump's surrogate, who took heat this month for seeming to praise aspects of the Jim Crow era. We're going to talk about that as well. Voted for it as well. I just thought it was interesting that everybody else just gets to identify with the policies and values that are important to them, but he has to be described by his ethnicity, which gives you no indication to what is valuable to him or what his essence or worth is. So it's like, it's almost like, and I'm not saying we need to act like he's not black. Here's what I am saying. They purposely colorize you because what they want to remind you is, Negro, you are black, and therefore you think how we tell you to think. You're not allowed to have an independent thought and think how you want to think, right? With values that align with who you are and how you were raised. No. What is it like Tiffany Henry said? You black, and you black. You should be shaming yourself because you black. That blackness, they're not talking about his color. They are referring to the mentality that comes along with that culture of blackness that they want him to be, but that he refuses to accept. That's why they describe it that way. But let me finish. Stefanik and Donald have been mentioned as possible vice presidential picks for Trump. The amendment, which was part of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2024, failed at a vote of 230 to 192 after 24 Republicans sided with Democrats in voting against it. Most Republicans, Reps Wesley Hunt of Texas and Burgess Owens of Utah, wait for it, who are black, supported the amendment proposed by Representative Andrew Clyde, Republican from Georgia. No Democrats did. Once again, nobody else's ethnicity gets highlighted. But they wanted to make sure to remind you that Wesley Hunt and Burgess Owens are black. So when they do that, remember, they're trying to remind you, oh, you black. So you ideologically, something's wrong with you because you got this R behind your name and you're black. We need the world to know what they do. They do it because they think there's some element of shame that is supposed to come along with it. Like when you point out that we're black and conservative, like that's supposed to make us feel some sort of kind of way. It is a form of subjugation. It is a form of how they want to remind you that you ran off the plantation. You one that got away. And so we got to remind you that you ain't thinking like you're supposed to. We want people to know you're black. How dare you vote this way? Let me continue. The memorial was removed in December after a years-long congressional effort to remove Confederate names and statues from military installations across the country. The amendment would have returned the memorial, which is in storage in a Defense Department facility in Virginia, to its original spot in the cemetery. The 32-foot bronze statue depicted, among other images, an enslaved black woman, described on the cemetery website as a mammy figure, holding the white child of a Confederate officer and an enslaved black man following his Confederate enslaver into battle, according to the cemetery. So let's go ahead and take a look. Y'all want to see it? Y'all want to see what got this man in his emotional feels that caused him to be so visibly upset that he was darn near into tears? Do y'all want to see it? Okay, I'm going to show it to you. This is the monument. Let's take a look at it. As you can see here, there's a white Confederate soldier. He's got a sword on his side, and he's embracing and holding a baby. And then there's the black woman, I guess described as the mammy figure, as they call it, who is also holding the baby. And notice that the white soldier is kissing the baby. This, my friends, I want y'all to take a good look at this godforsaken monument where the white child of the Confederate officer and the enslaved black woman are all depicted here together, right? So I'm showing you this. I just read the article from the Washington Post. And this whole grown man, like he was a big burly dude too. Like the first one that was really whining about it, he was kind of on the thin side, but then the other two big burly dudes whining over this artwork while the rest of us was trying to listen to two distinguished congressmen, one who served this country, give us what they believe are the most pressing issues for this country as of late. Y'all, let's look at it one more time. This is the monument. This is the monument. Right? So you see here, the Confederate soldier, right? And a black female slave. She's holding the baby. He's kissing the baby. And then you have, I'm assuming, this enslaved black man following his Confederate enslaver into battle. Now, let me give you guys some information that might be shocking to you. I know it's going to hurt a little bit, so lean in so you can just brace for the impact. I'm going to point out and remind all of you of the straight double-minded schizophrenic mindset of the liberals in the black community. We need to remind you. You guys, first, let me ask a question. Who were the Confederates, right? Like, who were they? Anybody want to type in the chat who the Confederates were? Anybody? I'll remind you. They were Democrats. They were Democrats. The Confederate states were willing to die for their right to maintain slavery. Y'all, they wanted slavery. They loved their slavery. They loved the slavery. They loved their slaves, not like in an affectionate kind of way, but it was like, no, this is our institution. This is what we do. Slavery is our economy. They loved slavery and they were willing to fight tooth and nail and die to maintain such an evil institution. So if the Confederacy were Democrats and you are loyal to the Democrats so much that you vote for them at a 95% clip to the detriment of your own interests, might I add, why are you trying to erase that part of the history that you love so much, right? Like, aren't these your people? Let's look at them again. You're a Democrat. This is your history. These are your people, right? You know, the ancestors, the ones that helped dig the ramparts for the war and hid and protected master's property out in the woods while he went fighting the war to keep you a slave. See, we don't want to talk about those black folks, right? There were black folks who fought on the Confederate side, and there were black folks who were visibly crying harder than the white wife and the children when they found out that master had died in the war. That happened. I mean, the Confederates were the Democrats. The KKK was the Democrats. The Jim Crow, those are Democrats. Help me to understand why you are mad again. I'm so confused. I'm so confused about this anger, about all this Democrat subjugation and oppression. Because here's the deal. When I look at that carving, I am going to be honest, y'all. I feel absolutely nothing. Like, I feel nothing. Like, I don't know what I was supposed to feel. And I'm just telling you that it gets no visceral reaction from me whatsoever. Like, I'm not breaking out in hives. My underarms are not itching. I don't have PTSD over it. I mean, I'm not tweaking or anything like that. Nope. That's just the truth. Like, outside of it being a nice piece of architecture, I have absolutely no emotional connection to it at all. And why is that? Why are you like, well, April, why don't you feel anything when you look at that? Well, let me ask you, why do you guys think? Why do you guys think that I'm not having any sort of emotional reaction to this piece of stone. I'm gonna take a sip of this water, and then I'm gonna get to these super chats while we try to figure out and ponder why it just ain't hitting for me. I don't know. So let's do this. Chow Young Cat. Shout out to you, friend. She says, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Amen. I agree. No issues with Romans 13 for me. I submit to the scriptures. I'm very grateful for your support, Child Young Cat. Thank you so much for sending that to me. She also says, be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Thank you so much for that one as well. Then she sends another one. This one says, which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. I hate sometimes that by the time I get to the super chat, that the context is lost, because I'm sitting here struggling trying to remember. Y'all know it's starting to itch. What did I say? I'm trying to remember the specific context of this. Let me see if maybe I can go back in the chat to see where you left it, my friend. Thank you so much for supporting the live stream tonight. I can't find it. Let me see. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know the context of it, but I mean, I agree with scripture. I don't see anything wrong with it. But thank you so much for that. Then we have Workman Approved. Shout out, my friend. That is the other half of one of my favorite couples in New York. Sister, that is brother Shauna's husband. Hey, friend. He says, Aprilism, Pavement 8. Actually, I borrowed that one. I got a good friend that comes up when we're talking, and he will throw out a term, and I've actually borrowed that one from him. Maybe one day when he come out of hiding, we can talk, and I can expose y'all to this person. But, you know, I wish I had come up with that one, but I didn't. We have another one from Ghetto Sapien. Shout out to you. He is another content creator. He was actually at this event. We were there together. His beautiful wife. Hey, Michelle, so good to see you. He says, I was there. The male who whined about Confederate dead people started an argument with a white guy and questioned why he was at a black event. The hypocrisy was thicker than the cigar smoke. Facts. Facts upon facts. Ghetto Sapien was there. I saw him. Actually, I ended up calling him from the car on the way home because I was that hot. I was that hot about it because, y'all, this black supremacy, it's on a whole nother level. When I talk about black supremacy, I'm talking about the idea where black people will be outright rude, disrespectful, and racist, and have the nerve to tell a person that doesn't look like them, namely a white person, that they ain't even supposed to be in the room. Do y'all remember when I did that show on Jerome Crow? Jerome Crow is nothing but Jim Crow in reverse, where all of that bullying and subjugation and all of the tactics that happened to black people in the Jim Crow era, well, now it's being done by the hands of white folks, where you think you can't speak. You ain't even supposed to be here. If y'all were there, it was disgusting. It was so disgusting, but he was there and he saw it. So shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for keeping me calm because it was a whole hot mess. But anyway, let me get back to tell you guys why. Let's look at it again in case for those who are just joining us. Let's look at it again. Right? This is the monument that after we talked about this this inflation and this horrible economy and the stagnation and growth of jobs in this country and the immigration problem and the crime problem and the educational issue. This was where the rubber met the road and was a source of contention. This was it. So the reason why, you guys, that I have no emotional reaction to that piece of stone that y'all just saw, it's because, well, for one, it's a piece of stone. Like, literally, it is a piece of stone. Like, it can't speak. It can't rock me to sleep at night. It doesn't put any money in my bank account. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to hate it. I really am, but I just can't seem to muster up the anger and the frustration that I guess I'm supposed to have when I look at it. Like, this piece of stone didn't stop me from waking up this morning, planning out my day. It didn't prevent my husband from getting up early and going to open up our business like he does every single day. It didn't stop my children, right, from logging on to their laptops and opening up any of their books to educate themselves and to learn something new today. Like, none of that happened. Like, that piece of stone, it didn't prevent my stylist from meeting me at her shop at the Crack a Crack to slay my hair today. The piece of stone, like, it just, I don't know. The piece of stone, it did not stop me from hopping on the YouTube, right, to expose this tomfoolery that I witnessed on Wednesday from a whole grown man. A whole grown man who looked like me. Out of all of the problems that this country is grappling with right now, this man thought it was useful and necessary to start a whole argument over a monument. A monument, a carving that has been up since only the Lord knows how long. It was amazing, right? Like, I am not in support of trying to erase or rewrite history. Because if we don't deal with and grapple with history, even the parts that we don't like, we're destined to repeat it. But here's the part that was so hilarious to me. Y'all, this is Democrat history. Right? These people who I guess he hates and despises so much are Democrats. I mean, are you ashamed? I don't know. I mean, slavery was pretty shameful, and you should be ashamed, but I don't think you are. I don't think you are. Like, this man is mad at the wrong people. I mean, if you're going to harbor bitterness and unforgiveness in your heart about something you never experienced or personally lived, toward people who had nothing to do with the grievance that you were mad about, at least direct your anger toward the right people. Right? Like, he needs to have smoke for Democrats. Why? Because slavery was a Democrat-sponsored institution. The KKK, that was a Democrat-sponsored institution. Jim Crow was a Democrat-sponsored institution. And the mental slavery and government subjugation that you are living under right now is a Democrat-sponsored institution. So it seems to me that somebody doesn't really know who he's supposed to be mad at. Or, better yet, how about this? What in the heck are you so angry about anyway? One, you've never been a slave. No, see, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take that back because when you whine and you cry about stuff like this, especially when you are a grown man, you very well are still a slave. You are a slave and you are shackled to bitterness, insecurity, hatred in your heart toward your fellow man, and you are filled with unforgiveness for something that you never personally lived through. Just mad for the sake of being mad. And when you're that mad, There's nothing a congressman can say to ameliorate the anger and hatred in your heart. You need the light of Christ to just shine in the recesses of your heart to reveal to you that you are no better than those evil white Democrat slave masters that you love talking about so much. You ain't no different. And in fact, you're just like them. You are just like them. And why do I say that? Because you came into that event. You came there for the sole purpose to bully, intimidate, shame, and to subjugate people who are literally there taking time out of their schedule to hip all of us to some game that actually has the ability to help you and to grow you from the scared, fake, bravado having little man to a confident, self-secured, free Black man in America. But you don't want that. When you come to an event and you show out like that, you are literally acting just like your former slave masters and the Jim Crow oppressors who used fear and intimidation and bullying to demand that others comply and do things their way. You sit here. No, you can't sit there. And we don't want you going here. You need to drink from this water fountain and you need to do this. That's who the Dixiecrats and the Democrats were, and that's who they still are today. And when these paid agitators, these melanated Marxists, these colored communists came to that event to whine and cry about a statue, they were acting just like their daddy. Just like them. Y'all, it was a shame. It was a shame to watch. And what was even worse, it was painful to listen to. Y'all, my husband had to calm me down. And see, now I'm on punishment. And I can't even go to no more political events by myself because I could not understand how in a country that has afforded, despite its past, so much opportunity for you to just figure it out and do the darn thing, that in spite of that, with all the other issues that we are dealing with, like everyday issues like gas and groceries, inflation, taxes, this was his issue. And it got me upset. And I was upset because I can't stand weak jellyback soy boys. I can't. Ain't in my opinion, ain't nothing worse than a Black man begging, whining and crying. I cannot stand it. You get zero respect from me for that. I can't empathize with you. I'm not rubbing your back. No, I can't. Because to me, victims are weak. They don't represent strength. You always talk about you a strong Black man, but then in the next breath, your whole body is engaged, upset over a piece of stone. Are you kidding me? If you're too weak to lead from a position of power and authority, fine, step aside and make room for the ones who will, because you just loud and you weak. And just tell us that you were not built for this, and we will leave you alone. We will. Because we're not moving anything forward. If those are the men that represent the best of the community, we ain't going nowhere. We're not moving forward. Nothing is happening that's going to cause us to get to the next level. But what is my point? Oh, gosh, y'all, I absolutely hate. Is it the fan? I don't know. We got a couple of issues going on right now. My right nostril is itching right here. And I'm having a hot flash. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you. This is courtesy of Mickey, y'all. She wanted to see me live. Let me get this super chat real quick. Shout out to you, brother Derek. He says he a mental slave. Thank you. Straight shackled up in his mind. It was so sad. Let me figure out, where am I? What was my next point that I wanted to make? I'm just trying to cool down for a second. Listen, y'all know what I'm going through. If you're new here, I'm old. That's all. That's it. That's all that's wrong. All right. Let me get to my next point. I was really bothered. I really do think those individuals were paid agitators because nothing they said made a lick of sense. Nothing they said. Now, I could have been wrong. I could be wrong. They probably just some old regular lefticals. I don't know. But it was problematic for me, not on the basis of the question itself. It was how they went about doing it. They didn't wait for the opportunity for them to open up for questions. They just started hollering and being all aggressive, being racist to the few little white folk that were in the room. I'm like, this man didn't do nothing to you but exist. But you see, when you like your dad and your Democrat ancestors, right? That's how you do. You just nothing but a big old loud bully because you weak. You don't have anything of substance to offer. So you have to bully, you have to subjugate, you have to act like that. And it just gets on my nerves. But anyway, out of all of the things that this individual was angry about, I was waiting to see when was he going to get mad, right, about something of substance, right? Like, because in my opinion, we need men in our community who can get the heck out of their emotional feelings just long enough and actually be mad about some things that really matter, right? Like, why aren't you mad about the sexualization of our children? Right? Like how there's a concerted effort to effeminize our boys and to convince them that, you know, they might be a little girl. So we want to help them explore that possibility, right? We're going to help them explore that delusion where you want to convince them that they might be a girl. So we need books in the schools, right? That's going to affirm them instead of the truth of how God made them. Like, why aren't you mad about that? Like upset to the highest level of festivity? I never see that kind of aggression on topics like that. How about you get mad? I don't ever see them get mad that our little girls are looking up the sexy red, right? And how the Black culture that is perpetuated to them in all sorts of forms and fashions. I don't ever see them crying out and saying, you know, we shouldn't invite sexy red to our high schools, right? Or I don't see, you know, our girls shouldn't be twerking. Let's want better for them. I never see them upset about stuff like that. That stuff doesn't make them mad. Right? Like, I need men in our community who are going to be righteously pissed off about the fact that this border is open. Like, wide open. And we don't know who is coming across. And only God knows what they want to do to the women and children that are here. Because they've already shown us what they're capable of doing. And it's not nice. And it's not pretty. And I'm wondering, where was Lil Buddy's bravado? And all that energy for that, right? Because I didn't hear anything of substance. All I heard was, woe is me, the statues are hurting me, and we heard this one, when the government gonna cut my check. Like, that's what I had to sit and listen to. How are you a grown man and are willing to even articulate such foolishness out loud in public, especially in front of other men? Like, I always thought that there was like this man code where, you know, y'all don't want to show weakness in front of each other. And it was a whole room full of men, right? A whole room full of men, and they were just letting it out. Like the emoting was on 10. Not passion, because there's a difference. This was emoting, right? They were just emoting. And then to make it worse, y'all, there was this woman there who felt like she had to come in and play defense for these men and nurse these grown men back to health with this little speech like, we love you and we see you and we hear you. I was like, no, we don't. I was like, no, we don't. We pity you. I was like, speak for yourself. You do not speak for all of us here. Conservative women pity that, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out what you're outraged about. Like, we got real issues and you outraged over some stone? Like, can we look at it again and see if maybe we can look and interpret the offense? Because I don't see the offense. I don't know. Am I missing something? Can someone type in the chat and tell me what I'm missing? Am I just not looking at it hard enough? I don't know. Like, this is what you're outraged about? Like, these dudes weren't even embarrassed. They weren't even embarrassed about saying this stuff out loud. Like, we need men in our community who are going to fight against the effeminization of our young boys, not contribute to it. I know it's hard, with your emotional squat the P males, I know it's hard for y'all, but who are you going to protect and provide for when statues and stone carvings cause you to start tweaking and going in diabetic comas? Like you're getting triggered and you start getting the shakes over some stone. I'm like, are you really kidding me? I actually asked that man to show me where on his body where did the monument hurt you? I said, point to me. Where did it hurt you? Like, when you found out that such a stone carving existed, where did it hurt? I wanted him to point to me, and if I had a baby doll, I'd have been like, show me where on the doll did it hurt you? Like, did that carving prevent him from getting up to go to work? And did it prevent him from providing for his family? No. Not at all. No. And then the other gentleman who was whining and crying, y'all, it was so embarrassing. Oh my gosh. It was so embarrassing. I'm not, yes, I am. I am dismissing their daggone feelings. I'm sorry. I'm dismissing them because no man should be emoting like that. And no man should be that upset over a stone carving that when you actually examine it, it's not even offensive. It's just, had he not been some paid Democrat operative and agitator, he probably would have looked at that and been like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe that's his kid. And he's kind of sad that he got to go and fight to keep the slaves. I don't know. But my question is, does it matter? Like, this is a part of history. And to be more precise, this is Democrat history. Let's not forget that. So since so many people just love talking about and dwelling on slavery so much, let's just go ahead and talk about it, okay? Like, I'm fine. Let's talk about some slavery. We can talk about how during slavery, like the slave revolts, those were rare. Those were really rare. And I'm talking about like on plantations where the slaves outnumbered the white folks. The slave revolts were very rare, right? The revolts on plantations were rare. And then after slavery was abolished, there was so many free men who could have left the South, but they didn't. Like, they actually wanted to stay on their plantation. A lot of them stayed, and they stayed with their former masters on the exact same plantation where they were abused and kept as slaves. And it was nothing keeping them there. Nothing. Homestead Act, only 5,000 freed blacks decided to go work the land. It's the same thing now. The very people who are constantly whining and crying about slavery, even though they've never been a slave, never experienced what it was like to be a slave, they are the same ones who want to give more government power. They want to give more power, more control to the government, and they actually want to voluntarily enter themselves into another government-slave relationship by way of government programs, okay? Because all you hear is, well, what y'all gonna give us? What y'all gonna do for us? When we gonna get our check? We heard a lot of that. Y'all, the government, when you think about it on a granular level, the government controls most of the Black Democrats' life. It does. They control their lives, the healthcare choices. They control their family. They control whether or not you even have a family, because they tell you, no, we're going to put this Planned Parenthood in your neighborhood, and we're going to make sure your kids grow up to think that having a baby and being fruitful and multiply is not a good. No, you got to go kill your baby. That's how they control. They control through genocide, and you voluntarily, you fight to maintain that. You want your numbers down, right? Every single aspect of your life, they control. You let them tell you what kind of guns you should own, or if you should be allowed to own a gun at all. Because, you know, government gun control, right? That's... You want them to tell you what kind of insurance to have. You want them to tell you what school you can send your child to. You want them to tell you what your child can and cannot learn. You want them to tell you how and if you can even discipline your own children, and you let them tell your children whether or not they're really a boy or a girl. Like, you want them to tell you when or if you should open your church, and then if you're going, can you stay inside, or we got to be outside? Tell us, Master. Tell us what you want us to do, right? So as much as you want to talk about slavery and how much of a trigger it is for you, I am confused, because what I just described sounds a whole lot like slavery minus the chains. Nah, there's still chains. It's mental chains. It's the shackles in your mind. I want you guys to take a listen to another clip that I have. I want you guys to take another, listen to this clip. Listen to this clip.
Why do Christians vote for this evil party? And why do black people usually vote 90% for this evil institution? I studied this, and I came to the conclusion. It's nothing more than Stockholm Syndrome, cognitive dissonance. Let me explain. Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological condition that says if a captor is beaten and tortured by the people that capture him, he will take on the characteristics of his oppressor. This came about in Stockholm, Sweden, I think like 1972. These bank robbers robbed this bank, held these people hostage. They kept them for about 3 or 4 days. By the time the police came in and took the bank back, most of the people in the bank who were hostages had taken the side of the people who had robbed the bank. Matter of fact, they visited the guys in prison, and I think one of the women married one of the guys. And the psychiatrists wanted to study this to see about this phenomenon, and they called it Stockholm Syndrome. Patty Hearst had it. She was kidnapped. She was the heiress to the Hearst fortune. These terrorists kidnapped Patty Hearst. By the time they found her, she had been brainwashed, and she was helping these guys rob banks. I remember reading about this young lady who was kidnapped when she was very young. Guy kept her, raped her. She had 2 children by the guy. By the time the police found her, she was living with the guy, wasn't trying to escape anymore, trying to protect him. It's Stockholm Syndrome. Now, what did Democrats do to black people? Well, they kept them in slavery. During the Civil War, even after Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, black people stayed on the plantations, picked cotton for the Confederacy, and helped them put up the ramparts and dug the ditches to defend their armies in the field. After the Civil War, when they were freed by the 13th Amendment, and the federal government set up the Homestead Act in 1866 to give black people 150 acres of land in Kansas and Nebraska and Oklahoma if they would only go work it for 5 years. Less than 5,000 took them up on the offer. They decided to stay with their master. In the 1860 census, 90% of black people live down south. The 1910 census, 90% of black people in America still live down south. They wouldn't leave their masters. If you look at the Civil Rights Movement, what was the Civil Rights Movement about? Was it about trying to get away from your white oppressors, the Ku Klux Klan, the white racists? No. The Civil Rights Movement was about trying to integrate with them. Now think about this. The Ku Klux Klan threw a stick of dynamite into a church and killed 4 little girls. They sicked dogs, water hoses, you name it, they did it to black folks. Telling them we hate you. We don't want you anywhere around us. Nevertheless, black people fought, bled, and died to use the bathroom beside their white oppressors, to eat a hamburger beside their white oppressors, to go to school beside their white oppressors. They took black children from schools that were educating them well. Schools were great. And said, we want to put our children in the schools with people that hate them. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Stockholm Syndrome.
Let me get to these super chats. Hey, brother Derek, he says, Satan is, listen, yes, Satan is their daddy. I agree. Their father is the devil. Same old slithering, snaky serpent. It's that same spirit. And y'all know I ain't even a charismatic, but that's what I mean when I say that. Shout out to Michael Williams. Thank you so much for supporting me tonight. He says, she asked Biden what he has done for black people. He mumbled, and she goes, you have 89 seconds left. Mic drop. Listen, we're going to get to the debate, and we're going to talk about that. It was quite the event. And believe it or not, I have thoughts and opinions on that. I'm going to give my review. That's going to be part 2 or the second half of this live stream. And so we're going to talk about that for sure. But thank you for your support, Michael Williams. We also have Bob Paul, who says, thank you, April. Learn much biblical theology and all things geopolitical and socioeconomic here. Those seeker, heretic, sensitive church kids need what you teach. Oh, that was amazing. That was a good comment, Brother Paul. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, that is. See, he understands the assignment and the purpose of the channel. That is what I talk about and what I tend to focus on. And I do agree that the heretic sensitive church kids, if you know some, feel free to share my content to them. Thank you so much for that super chat. If you are a regular of the channel, you know that for some strange reason, I don't know what be going on with my nose, but it just itches. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let me finish. So I showed you that clip. Shout out to my good brother, Vince Everett Ellison. Y'all need to go and subscribe to that man's channel. He is cranking out some really good content that will help contextualize a lot of what I am saying and to teach you some history that they didn't teach you in the history books, and that's why you're confused and you don't even realize that your unholy alliance and your loyalty and affection for the Democrat Party, where it even comes from, and he's going to challenge you undoubtedly as to why you're so loyal over there. But the reason why I brought or played that clip is because no one really wants to talk about how all of the slaves, or some of the slaves, I would say, who many of the slaves, despite, what they experienced under the hands from their master, being treated like crap, being whipped. I mean, slavery was horrible. But so many of these slaves protected the big house and cried when their master died. Like Booker T. Washington explains how he could not wrap his mind around the visceral reactions and some of the actions of some of his slave peers who during the war, they were literally protecting that plantation with their very lives. Like he's 9. And he was like, I just couldn't understand. He was like, some of these people, like, honey, they love their master. They love their master. And he struggled to understand that. As y'all know, Booker T. Washington is one of my favorite figures of antiquity. But I'm struggling, right? I'm struggling to see how, like, so many of us, like, we've changed And we don't have a point of reference to intimately know and understand what slavery was like, but yet we are out here whining and crying, especially the men. Especially the men. That is the part that probably grieves and breaks my heart the most. To hear these men unable to see the forest through the trees because being a victim made them feel better than standing strong and realizing that they are already free. Right? Like to think that a statue is messing with your psyche so much that you would demand that it come down says that you are weak and you might need some help. Like something's going on in this realm that I will never understand, because the idea that we start tearing down monuments and how that's somehow going to move us forward makes no sense to me. To me, it's a silly distraction. It's juvenile. Like it's not substantive. How are you crying over a statue that actually depicts what was actually happening? Right? So since you want to be reminded of slavery so much, you want to know what it was like, you want to relive it, why are you mad that this statue was depicting a very real reality of so many of our ancestors? Like, how is this bothering you? Right? I mean, you're mad that a white man is kissing the baby, or you're mad that the black slave was letting him. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where are we supposed to be mad? At what aspect of this depiction are we supposed to be upset about? What's the issue? A whole piece of stone has you this angry. Y'all, my guy, all of them, if they ever watch this, you need to get a grip. I'm sorry. It's funny to me. The black folks want to demand that white Americans re-examine their history and repudiate every person that supported slavery or racism, and yet we don't demand the same from our own people. We don't even want the truth to be told that slavery, the KKK, and Jim Crow was a Democrat-sponsored system of oppression and subjugation. You want reparations so bad, why are you not begging for it from the Democratic Party? Huh? Like, we don't want the truth to be told that Democrats created the welfare state that broke up the black family. There are people out here that are literally kissing up to the party that are the very ones responsible for the living conditions that they claim trigger them so doggone much. What do I mean? My question is, where are the evil white Republican leaders in the hood? Where are they? I have never seen them. So I'm going to wait, because I need to scratch my nose anyway. I want to know where the evil white Republican leaders in the hood. We can start with Atlanta. Let's start there. Let's start there. We can look at Chicago, Memphis, St. Louis. Where are those evil white Republicans that are making life so hard for you? Where are they? Anybody found them yet? Has anybody found them yet? Is this thing on? Anybody? Oh, okay. I didn't think we'd find them. Like, seriously. Because the blackity blacks, you know, that's your Cascade cabal. That's who's running Atlanta. So I can't speak for all these other cities. So we're just going to speak a little bit about mine. We call them the Cascade cabal. You know, that's your Fonnie Willis's, your Shirley Franklins, the Marvin Arringtons, Rob Pitts, you know, all that old Atlanta black privilege. Yeah, y'all don't really want to talk about that. Like we can actually save that for another day. We can save that for another day. But the truth be told, that's who has their knee on your neck and has had it on your neck for at least the last 100 years. Because the thing is, do y'all know the last time Atlanta had a Republican mayor? Like, does anybody know? Because I can tell you, I looked it up. It was 1879. That was the last Republican mayor that we had. It was 1879. His name was Needham L. Angier. And he was the last Republican that ran this city, and he served for one term. 1879. Whoo, that was a mighty long time ago. Atlanta has been run, subjugated, and oppressed by Democrats ever since. Like, make this make sense for me. You claim that white supremacy is the problem, and yet you stay supporting the very system that's responsible for your subjugation. Like, you stay begging the white supremacists to solve all your problems. Like, why do you want their help? Why do you want anything from them? Why are you constantly seeking their acceptance, their approval, their affirmation? Like, if they are so bad, why do you keep demanding to go where they go and do what they do? I will tell you, it's because you've replaced the worship of the one true God for the worship and the approval of white people. That's it. I said it. And you can talk all about it, leave it in the comments, say whatever you want. I do not care. It's always white people this and white people that, because, you know, racism and, you know, the white supremacist system. Like, white people are living rent-free in your head. They ain't even thinking about you like that. How do you spend so much time comparing yourself to people that you claim don't like you and you don't like them either? Like, how you walk around despising whiteness, yet in your blackness, you covet and constantly stay talking about them all the time, and they are not even thinking about you. Like, they're really not thinking about you. It makes no sense to me. And when I see it happening, all I can do is just shake my head. I just be like, oh, you really off into it, ain't you? I just stay off and just be like, you really, ooh, okay. Like, whole grown men begging for crumbs from their master's table, right? Like, just needing the approval and the affirmation of people who you say don't like you. That is insanity to me. Completely insane. But the other part, it's been a while since we've talked about this discussion. We're still talking about the Congress, Cognac, and Cigar events. We're still talking about that. And the other aspect of this, the whole discussion that made me realize there is a serious mental defect or an emotional regulatory problem that just needs to be addressed. And we're going to talk about it because this other man, he brought up the recent comments that Congressman Byron Donalds has been catching so much heat for. And when I actually went back to listen to what he said, I was like, yeah, this is stupid. This is stupid. And there's an emotional regulatory problem that needs to be addressed. Byron Donalds recently made some comments at an event in Philadelphia. So let's go ahead and play that.
My piece of advice for you, I think Byron Donalds, is that you can talk about black families, talk about black families, and talk about the black father. But when you intertwine Jim Crow in that, you're going to drive people away. So it's kind of like Bill Cosby. Have you seen that Cosby show where he said, you know, you can present steak and asparagus, but if you put it on the trash can lid, nobody's gonna listen to you. So that's my piece of advice for you.
I know. I said the words Jim Crow, and if you listen to the media, they would say that I wanted it to come back like you would say Beetlejuice if you said Beetlejuice 3 times. And I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm saying it because that's literally what happened. In that meeting in Philadelphia, what happened was we were talking about black families. If you look at the empirical data, before Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, black marriage rates were significantly higher. Did I reference Jim Crow? Yeah, because that was the era of time. Do I want it to come back? No, I don't. And I think the most, and brother, I want to say this. Hold on, because it's important. Because again, if you want a talking point, that's one thing. If you want a detailed answer, that's another. Nobody wants Jim Crow to return. I don't want Jim Crow to return. That's insanity.
Say it again. Say it again.
You want me to repeat myself?
Repeat that again, please.
Nobody wants Jim Crow to return. But
I think,
hold on, Wesley. Hold on, Wesley. My brother. Hold on. Calm down, though. My man, chill. Can I answer the question? Go ahead. This is important. It's okay. Whoa. Both of y'all are talking. I'm trying to hear both of y'all. I'm trying to hear both of you. You want me to answer or you want to answer? You want to answer my question? Do you want to answer the question or you want me to answer the question? Because I'll answer the question. Hold on. Shh. This is important. The history of our country is very, very painful. It's very painful. But now if we refer to it, if now the point is that now it's going to insinuate that you want that back, that is what is destructive. But it's not different, brother. It's the truth. Do you want to, because let's talk, hold on. Do you want to talk about it or do you want to yell about it? Because I'll talk to you about it.
I understand the divisive nature of the words Jim Crow. I understand that. Okay, so I hear where you are coming from.
I do too.
What I do want you to hear us say is that we aren't speaking about Jim Crow in terms of going back. We are talking about it in terms of a period in history, and I'm not trying to be divisive in that way. So I hear that word, those two words, trigger a generation. When my parents hear they're still alive, it triggers a generation. I understand that. We agree. We understand that those times were horrible. Under no circumstances do we ever want to return to anything like that. But I do. No. I'll miss your question. What I want to recognize with what you said, and it's something that I will actually think about and use some deference with. And like I said, I don't like canceling words. I don't like that. I like telling it like it is. But I do understand how those two words, to a lot of people in this country, is a really bad visceral trigger.
Listen, Wesley, Congressman Wesley, respectfully, Congressman Byron Donalds, if y'all ever see this, I get it. Y'all are way better than me. I told y'all I'm on punishment because see, Byron is from Brooklyn, but Byron's also a politician. He's probably a little bit, more poised, and he's had some training. And so what you guys just saw, there was a lot of media behind. So for the cameras, I'm pretty sure Byron, he didn't go East Flatbush like he wanted to, because what the media will do, every time these guys say something, they always have to flip it and twist it. But see, I'm not, right? I'm not in Congress. So I am free. Not only am I free in Jesus, right? But I'm free to say whatever the heck I want to say, because nobody's going to shackle my mouth to make me think that, you got to be politically correct. Ain't nothing about me politically correct. So let's just get that straight. So what y'all did not hear, this is the nice, clean, polished, sanitized clip. I was there. Ghetto Sapien was there. That room was pandemonium. But because the mics, the way all the media was off to the back, you could really only hear Byron. But these nut jobs were literally right behind me. So it was very, very loud. It was very aggressive. And it got to a point, and they cut one point. It got to a point where some of Byron's people had to get up. And I knew this dude was with Byron, because he didn't look like no regular security. He looked like that dude from Brooklyn that you be like, listen, when I come up, you coming with me. He looked like he was somebody was going to get touched. And I don't mean hands was going to get laid on them in Jesus' name. They were going to get touched, but it wasn't going to be a touch by the Spirit. So what you guys were witnessing was the clip that was from a couple of weeks ago. Byron Donalds was talking about the state of the Black family, and it is no secret that we're not doing well. We're not winning in that area. And he referenced how despite slavery, Reconstruction, the KKK, Jim Crow, the Black family was together and we were doing better in spite of those conditions. Not one time did he ever reference Jim Crow like it was some golden era for Black people. He was talking about the state of the Black family in the sense that Black men and Black women were married and they were being fruitful and they were multiplying and they were filling the earth, and the value system that anchored them, despite Jim Crow's subjugation, wasn't powerful enough to break up the Black family. But you know what was? The civil rights operation of the 1960s and the welfare state. What the welfare state did, what slavery, KKK, and Jim Crow could not do, the welfare state demolished, decimated the Black family. So when Byron was referring to this period of time and he literally used the words Jim Crow, that's what he was referring to. So in that clip, you can clearly see Byron Donalds is trying to help the sheroes in the room understand that nobody is advocating for Jim Crow to come back. No one was advocating for that. If you actually listen to what Byron was saying, he was actually explaining that despite the actual conditions that were super harsh, that were incredibly brutal, i.e. slavery, the segregated South, Jim Crow, the KKK, all of that. Despite those conditions, the Black family was together, which is an absolute fact. The idea that families would just, like women would just go off and just break up a whole home because they're not happy, like, yeah, that wasn't happening. All we had was each other, and we had a strong sense of community. Right? When you acted a fool before your mama could get to you, Miss Betsy from around the corner and her husband got to you. And then they made it their business to tell your mama and dad, you know, I had to pow them legs because so-and-so did X, Y, and Z. And it was like, thank you kindly. I appreciate that because you don't want no unruly, menacing, unruly, and thuggish type behavior from your children. So that was the context of what Byron said. But here you got the pavement apes in the back, the mud culture Negroes who don't know how to act no matter where they go. You have them, the whole grown man. Let me tell you what his argument was, because you really couldn't hear it on the camera. He was arguing against just the use of the word Jim Crow, saying you should not have used the word. I kid you not. They were mad because they're like, you know how much pain that represents, and you shouldn't even have used the word. Even though Byron kept saying, I was referring to a period of time in history, right? Like if I had referred to the time of the American Revolution, or if I had returned to the time, you know, of the Great Migration, or if I had referred to a time in history when you may not know the exact year, but you know the segment of time that you're referring to, and you refer to it as that, like Reconstruction or something like that. I don't know, the Middle Ages. He was triggered just because the terms, 2 words, Jim Crow was used. I say, yeah. There is some sort of, there's a lack of emotional regulation that's happening here that leads me to believe this might be borderline a mental disorder. So my question to the guy, because y'all know, I was sitting right there. I asked him and he didn't respond because y'all know I'm little, right? I'm like, everybody's like way up here and I'm like, I'm little, okay? So I'm asking him, I'm like, so when I refer to Joe Biden as Jim Crow Joe, do you get triggered then? Like you start tweaking when I call him Jim Crow Joe? I don't think so. Like, does your heart start racing, right? And you just start tweaking then? Like, how is our community going to build anything with this level of soy boy emotional argumentation at the helm? It is not possible. Like, explain to me how a people group who are the actual descendants of actual slaves all of a sudden are in their fields just because the words Jim Crow were used to reference a period of time in history. It's funny how we just get this selective amnesia and we get selectively triggered and outraged. So my question is, it didn't trigger you when Joe Biden emphatically told you that you weren't black if you didn't vote for him? Like that, you didn't get triggered then? Like, I'm trying to understand how you let a man, Jim Crow Joe, I said it, yes, with his words, try to strip you of your very ethnicity by telling you you don't even have an ethnic identity if you don't vote for me. But that's your guy? So words are actual weapons now. You were pierced to the soul when Byron Donalds referred to a period in time, said the words Jim Crow, and was referencing a time when the black family was together and we were strong and we was having lots of babies. No, words are not weapons. Words are not weapons. I'm going to tell you exactly what we witnessed with the juvenile arguments that these paid agitators or these woefully blinded electoral serfs were actually trying to do. What these men were trying to do, because see, the source, the men who were the source of all of that commotion and bravado, what they try to do is they want to socially slaughter anyone who actually loves this country and wants to see it prosper. That's their goal. We're going to socially slaughter you. So if you actually believe in the principles and the policies that someone would consider MAGA, like Make America Great Again, and if you believe in putting America first, not America only, but America first, they will try to socially slaughter you, especially if you don't base your whole identity around dehumanizing racial social constructs, right? Like meaning if you don't side with the pro-blackity-black coalition and how they think, they will try to come for you and shame you. That's the goal. If you don't support their demands for equality of condition and results through government resolution, i.e. give me reparations or support reparations as cash payments, they will assault your reputation. And they will attempt to castigate you in the eyes of the public. And no matter how much time you try to explain, no matter how much context you try to give, they will not hear you. I can't tell you how many times I listened to the original statement by Byron Donalds and how much he tried to clarify and provide context to what he said. It did not matter because they weren't interested in hearing the truth. These people don't live in truth. They are of their father, the devil. They don't want the truth. They want to wallow in their oppression. And they want to drag you down with them because you need to feel oppressed too. You need to be oppressed too. Now, this is the part. This is the part that disappointed me about both Wesley and Byron. And I am saying this respectfully because like I love these two as congressmen, but I'm not going to lie. I am tired of placating and rubbing the backs of these weak-minded, effeminate men, and I am tired of bowing down to their illogical, their counterparts, their illogical yes queens, right, of the Sisterhood Coalition. Both of them groups get on my daggone nerves. I'm tired. And I understand they are politicians, so they got to stay in their lane, right, and they can't say everything that they really want to say, but I'm like, they say what they want to say. So maybe that's why you need people like me. Because see, I'm not bound by the rules of the spectrum or the aisle. No, I'm not I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell you like it is. Like you sound real weak right now, considering like the people that we supposed to come from who endured slavery. You out here where you actually care that I used the term Jim Crow? Like, so now you policing words? No, I said what I said. Stand on business. It is what it is. If you can't handle it, that's your problem. It's not mine. Here's the truth. I know that both Byron and Wesley were, trying to instill hope, right? And say, there was an aspect of what Byron was saying where he was trying to instill hope to say the Black family was starting to come together. And the truth of the matter is, I disagree. We're not in a good place. We're not in a good place. We are nowhere close to being on an upward trajectory in that particular area, considering not enough of us are being born, especially in wedlock. That's not happening. As a people group, we are beyond the rate of replacement. So our young boys, they're not growing up to be strong and capable young men because so many of them were raised by their mamas. Like the soy boys out here at the event, the men in that room who were doing all that whining and crying, sadly, I got to claim them. Those were the Gen X men who were probably raised by their mama, and they came up there with enough orangutan energy to set that whole place on fire. Y'all, it was so sad. All you heard from them were emotional arguments. Men who are living in the freest country on the friggin' planet, not the Eastern Hemisphere, the whole planet, whining and crying, not about actual issues, but about statues and words. Statues and words. I was like, we done hit a new low. Statues and words. So overall, the event had promise. It had good intentions. And we were able to listen to some real solutions, right, from our congressman. But I was disappointed in how that room was allowed to be hijacked by what I believe were some paid melanated Marxist-minded Negro agitators. That's what I'm calling them. Who they ain't got a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of. And all they could do is figure out, why we ain't protesting over a stone carving. And why we using the word Jim Crow, to describe a period in history. That's what they're crying about. This is a time in history when the facts bear out that the Black family was together. And just because he had the audacity to just say the words. That was a time when we weren't relying on government intervention to satisfy our every waking need. And they took that and perverted it just like their father, the devil, does, who perverts everything and try to turn it into something that it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. At the end of the day, here is how I feel, and I don't care who likes it. Some of these people, you're going to have to leave them behind, apart from preaching the gospel to them and telling them that they need to repent of their covetousness and the hatred in their heart and the grievances that they never experienced any of this stuff, but they refuse to let go of. Outside of that, leave their behinds right over there on that Democrat plantation and let them vote themselves into destruction. Let them do it, because they are already doing it anyway. They already vote without equivocation for the slaughtering of the unborn in the womb. And namely, it's the ones that look like them that they're snuffing out. But then in the next breath, they want to holler that Black Lives Matter. Nobody believes you. No one believes you. They listen to, they line up, and they throw their support behind these Marxist-minded Black preachers who keep filling up their heads with the false gospel of the Black liberation theology. And all that does is teaches Black people that, America's just polluted by white racism. So therefore, we need to destroy America, disavow capitalism, and replace it with Marxism and socialism. I can't do it tonight. I can't do it tonight, but I am going to do a show exposing the godless goons, the Black preachers who are that one leg of that iron triangle, who have sold their souls wholeheartedly to the Democratic Party in exchange for money, and power and influence. That is a fact. And we're going to talk about it. And I don't know exactly when, but we're going to talk about it. And that is a show that you would definitely want to tune into. But in regards to this event, I'm sorry. Liberals ruin everything. They just do. Everybody was networking, hugging, having a good time. The panel was going great. And then here they come, shouting out just like they are ratchetang mamas. Coming in with nothing but raw emotions, void of any facts, unwilling to listen to what the other side was trying to say and educate them on. They just come in loud, strong, and wrong. Just wrong. And then when they actually was provided with the clarity that you would think, oh, this should clear it up, it still wasn't good enough, which proves to me that they're not interested in listening. They just want to move the goalposts because they need, without the oppression, without the victimhood, these people have nothing. They don't have anything to point their energy or to harness their energy on. So they keep this. They need this. It's like life to them. I am thoroughly convinced that liberalism is a disease. And all it does, it eats away at your brain and it prevents you from thinking logically and in proper categories. And that's just how I feel about it. So I don't think y'all was expecting that, but that's how I feel. Let's get to some super chats. Ghetto Sapien, shout out to you. He says, Democrats offer the most destructive drug of all. The drug is the excuse for failure. Once you accept it, you stop trying to succeed. That is a whole word right there. That sums it up in a nutshell. Literally, the excuse for failure where you can always blame it on everything else out there other than I'm inadequate, not because God made me inadequate, but because I've convinced myself that I'm inadequate and I don't even have the will to try. The unforgiveness, the bitterness in my heart, it eats away at my joy, and therefore all I do is wake up and find something to hate. When I see a white person, I just want to be angry. Don't tell me. When I talk about blackness, I'm not talking about our skin color or our melanin. When I talk about blackness, I'm talking about that social construct. These people were bred to be this way. This is what liberalism breeds. When you take God out, respect for your fellow image bearer, you can't have that in a Christian paradigm system. When you teach people to devalue life to where they'll kill their own children in the womb, the end result is I don't have no regard for your life. I definitely don't have any regard for mine. And forget the unborn innocent baby in the womb. All it brews is more hatred and anger. There's no room for forgiveness in this paradigm because it's godless. And apart from God, you have no standard to appeal to tell you why should you love your white neighbor? Like, why should you? They can't answer that. Because in that paradigm, whether you're talking about just regular liberalism or on the Black liberation theology spectrum of it, there's no provision for that because it's not your indwelling sin that's the problem. It's somebody else's issue. There's something that they're doing to you that causes that hatred to grow and fester the way that it does. And so thank you, Ghetto Sapien, for that. We got another one from Hector Cortez. Shout out to brother Hector Cortez. He sends 2 super chats, 1 for $5, 1 for $2. No comment, just for the love and support of the channel. Thank you so much, brother Hector. Wonder where you're from, Hector. Good to have you. We also got another one. Both Hector and brother Perry are members of the channel. He says, mad about slavery? Complain to the people who captured and sold us off. Hint, those people in Africa. Listen, it amazes me If I see one more black person dressed in all the Kunta Kinte cloth and all this tribal gear, like you are so many generations removed from your African ancestry. You don't even know what you're wearing. You don't know what you're wearing, what it means, what tribe it came from. It just make you feel more black, don't it? So that's why you do it. Like all the black pastors with, they little robes with all the little blackety black. Listen, let me calm down. I need us to have an identity in Christ alone. That's what I need. But anyway, Sister Sonia, so good to see you. She says, all the love. People need to wake up. Fake outrage over blackness is idolatry. Thank you. I absolutely love this sister. She's been supporting me for so long. And every time she's in the live chat, she will leave a comment that it'll warm my heart and just make you think. And it's true. Because you're outraged over, I think for me, it's that we elevate this melanin to some level that God never intended for it to be. This is literally, it is just pigmentation. That is an expression of his glory in the earth. And you being more darker or lighter than someone else gives you no indication as to what you value and who you are in terms of your essence and your worth. It's literally just melanin. But yet somehow we've clung to, or we've perverted the idea of our uniqueness and how the Lord created us to where it's on a pedestal to a level of where we are idolizing it. And then it causes a pervasive distrust of others for no apparent reason. Y'all, I was in a grocery store. Did I tell this story the other day? I did. Did I tell the story about the orangutan in the line? Okay, I ain't gonna tell it again. Y'all, listen, these people, I don't like when a person is just rude and ignorant and disrespectful. It really bothers me. But it really bothers me when I see Black people for no reason, unprovoked, be rude, dismissive, and disrespectful to someone else who doesn't look like them, not because the person did something to them, but just on the basis that they don't look like them. And therefore, this inherent distrust and dislike, it comes out in their words and in their behavior. It really bothers me. Like, y'all keep me lifted up. Y'all don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. I don't. So that's why I'm on punishment and I got to stay in. My sanctification in that area. And we're going to talk about the solution for what I was going through in terms of the fact that I am so glad that as of now, I have not seen any representations of how bothered I was by the foolishness I was listening to. Because my husband had to calm me down several times. But Brother Paul sends another one. And he says, thank you for this live stream. You are so welcome, Brother Paul. It is my pleasure to bring this information to you. We haven't even gotten to the Trump review yet. We're going to get there, though. Oh, it's 2 hours in. Okay, that ain't going to take me that long. We have another one from Sunkissed. Sunkissed says, blessings to you. Thank you so much for this super chat. I'm always grateful for when you pop in and send me a little something to keep going. I'm grateful, eternally grateful to so many of you. So thank you very much. All right, y'all. So let's deal with this debate, y'all. Let's deal with this debate. So I have thoughts about the presidential debate was last night, and everybody was anticipating this event. Well, not everybody, right? That's, all don't always mean all. Well, everybody doesn't always mean everybody. When I say that everybody was anticipating this debate, meaning those of us who follow politics and who recognize how serious this election is, we were really dialed in and we were really interested in seeing, how President Biden would perform, if Donald Trump was going to show out. Like, I had so many predictions and I had so many things that I was looking forward to experiencing on that debate stage. I did not like how regulated it was in terms of the fact that there was no live studio audience. There was like all of these rules. But I think we now know why. Not that we were all slow and dumb and didn't know, but now it's undeniable why the Biden campaign put so many restrictions and stipulations and parameters for how this debate needed to go. So, as you guys know, I am a Christian, right? No secret there. And while I think that President Biden's policies are wicked, right, and they're not good for this country, you guys, President Biden, he is still a human. Okay, he is still a human, and in his humanity, last night he demonstrated to the watching world that he is not well. And in my opinion, President Biden needs to be home enjoying, what little life that he has left. I don't have any hatred or aggression in my heart for President Biden. And to be fair, this is not, like, my commentary, it is not even about Joe Biden. Because once an individual, right, once you get to a point where, once they get to a point where their cognitive abilities are significantly diminished and they are unable to formulate, cohesive thoughts, or they are even just unsure about where they are, what time of day it is, what year it is, what's happening, right? When that happens, the people who love them the most and the people who care for them, they should be, the people who love them the most and who care for them the most, those are the ones that should be protecting them the most, right? So the reason why this is so sensitive to me is because I am the primary caregiver for my mother, right? I don't know if you guys knew, my mom is 80, right? President Joe Biden is 80. They're both 80 years old. And it is utterly shameful and cruel for Jill Biden, who is supposed to be President Biden's wife. That is supposed to be his wife. For her to allow President Biden to continue on like this, to me, it demonstrates that she is a wicked, selfish, and unusually cruel woman. That's just how I feel, okay? I believe that, or at least I want to know, why is she torturing him like this? Meaning, why is she allowing him to be the laughing stock of the nation like this? I have reason to believe that either he was such a horrible husband to her and she wants to pay him back for every wicked and evil thing that he has ever done to her, or she does not love him or has ever loved him and could care less about him. Either way, both are just bad, but those are my thoughts and my opinions, and I'm going to tell you why. You guys, my husband is 11 years older than I am, right? But Lord willing, and I do pray this, I pray that I get called home before he does, because the thought of me having to live on this earth without him is just too much for me to bear. I don't even want to think in those kinds of categories. Yes, I want to go first. Call me home first, Lord Jesus, because you already know. He already knows. The Lord knows. I would never exploit my husband the way Jill Biden is exploiting Joe Biden, right? No position, no amount of money, no amount of power or control is worth doing this to someone you love. You guys, Joe Biden didn't get this way overnight, okay? He has been this way for a while. Jill knows it. The DNC knows it. Like most of the American people know it. And at some point, when a person is no longer able to be themselves and they are unable to defend or protect themselves, there are supposed to be people in your life that will step in and say, no, Joe. Joe is going home to be under the care and supervision of his physician and to spend his final days with his family and his ice cream and his bingo and his Jell-O and whatever makes him happy at this point. That's what Joe was going to do. But no, Jill don't care about that. Democrats don't care about that. All they care about is power. That's all they care about. They don't care about the American people, and they don't care about what the rest of the world thinks about the American people either, because if they did, they would not have run the Crypt Keeper in the first place. They wouldn't have done that. Now, with that said, let's attempt to examine the debate on the basis of its own merit, which honestly is very difficult to do because there were not many moments when I even knew what the heck Joe Biden was even saying. I'm not trying to be funny, y'all. I'm not. But when he did manage to talk, unfortunately, the part of his brain that controls like telling the truth or telling a lie, there were times when that aspect seemed to work just fine, right? So I'm told that whenever I look at mainstream media news, like they're telling us that the economy is great, right? They're always saying it. This is a bustling economy, and the economy's doing just fine, right? It's doing well. You know, let Karine Jean-Pierre or Cringe Pierre, whatever her name is, she will tell you the economy's doing well and quite it's improving and there are aspects of it, you know, when it's just it's remarkable. That's what she'll tell you. Right? She'll tell you that, and you'll just be sitting there like, if you don't stop lying and gaslighting me, like, no, it's not. And don't talk to me about the 800,000 government jobs and hospitality jobs. Like, listen, bringing on an army of IRS agents is hardly what I call job creation, right? Just government jobs. Like, y'all, when Trump was in office, when President Trump was in office, do you guys know how many employees I had? Like, yes, employees, like people on a payroll that rely on you to provide an income in exchange for the work and the value that they provide at your workplace. I had 6 employees. 6. Now, at one point, it was a total of 11, but for the most sustained amount of time during the Trump years, I had 6. And do you know how many employees I have now? Do you want to know? I'll tell you, 0. By August of 2022, I had to let go my last employee. Had to let her go. In March of 2022, I had closed my other store. And by August, it was just me and Robert left. Everybody gone. Because everybody gone. I was like, listen, this Biden economy is unsustainable. I can't do it no more. That's how bad and how fast the Biden economy tore up my business. That is a fact. So don't tell me, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me that the economy is great, because the customers that I serve, they can no longer afford to get a new mattress set or a new sofa. They're like, it's an air mattress. That's all I got. Okay, and the sofa we got, the springs is the sinews and the springs, it's just, we gonna have to keep it. Consumer spending is way down and stores are shuttering and closing up left and right. But they keep telling you that the economy is good, right? But the truth of the matter is that there are no policies that Biden has implemented that, in my opinion, are helpful for the American people, that have actually helped us. No, in fact, he has put this country in harm's way. Facts. Illegal immigration is crippling this country and is placing our women and our children in an incredibly vulnerable position. An open border is insane, but they lie to you every week. Oh, no, the border's secure. We couldn't even get cackling Kamala to go and even visit that daggone border. And they want to tell us that the border is secure. But yet people are pouring in. It's several million here now. Several million. Who does that other than someone that wants to destroy the country from the inside out? You tell me. Because we won't be able to have any kind of law and order. And if people from other countries see that, oh, you could just walk right on in and they don't even stop you. All you got to do is lie and say you seeking amnesty. I'm hurt. I ain't no speaking English, but like they can't for me. And that's all you got to do. Just make up something. They'll let you in. Drugs coming through the border, pouring through, fentanyl, the MS-13 gangs coming across the border, the young girls, the sex trafficking that's happening across the border, which in turn feeds the abortion industry complex. So y'all don't want to talk about that part, right? Mm-hmm. Not only that, our spending is out of control. We are literally giving all of our money to Ukraine and helping other people secure their national sovereignty, but ours, it just gets to go to hell. Our educational system, trash. But they want to tell us that everything is fine. Well, everything is not fine. So on that debate stage, we didn't really get to really engage in a meaningful way with any of Biden's policies, because we didn't even know if he was going to be able to stand up straight, stay standing, and complete one coherent sentence. I don't know about y'all. I sat on the edge of my seat like, ooh, he almost done. Come on, get this, bring it home, Biden. Let's get it home. Like, our expectation in a debate shouldn't be, can our commander-in-chief complete a sentence? Like, participation trophies should not be like the goal. But sadly, we watched his wife say, oh, Joe, you did so good. You did so good. And you answered all the questions. Like, really? So you gonna treat the president like an infantile just toddler? Like a preschooler? Like, you did so good, Joe. We so proud of you. So good. We watched that woman. We in trouble, y'all. So in terms of the debate, I felt that I was just waiting for them to tell us who their replacement's gonna be, because Biden can't run. Biden can't walk. Okay, so he can't walk. He cannot run. He will not be able to withstand the vigors on the campaign trail when he is campaigning. So I don't know what the Democrats gonna do. And regarding Trump, I was pleasantly surprised that he actually exhibited a little bit of maturity and civil-like behavior. But see, y'all keep forgetting, Trump plays chess, not checkers. He didn't really have to do or say anything. All he had to do was let Joe talk. Just let him talk. He's already served as a president he's got a remarkable results from his administration, and like meaning that there are things that he can point to and say, I did this, this, and this. The American people know what it's like to live under my administration. Check my records. Go vote for me. Like, that's really all he really has to say. But not only that, I think you guys forget what we missed out on when allegedly President Biden won the 2020 election and allegedly President Trump lost. So what I want to do is I'm just going to share something. What this is what we missed out on that I think a lot of people forgot about. We forgot. Do y'all remember the Platinum Plan? Y'all remember the Platinum Plan? This was the plan that President Trump had worked on with, you know, I'm no fan of working with rappers because they're smart and they've built an empire, but I'm just not a fan of partnering in a meaningful way with a rapper. However, I understood why he did it. He partnered with rapper Ice Cube, and Trump's Platinum Plan, I think I downloaded it. When you examine what he was offering, and this Platinum Plan, it wasn't even his plan for Americans. Like, y'all may feel some sort of kind of way when I say this, but I'm authentically me. So I'm just going to say what I want to say, right? I don't believe any president needs to map out a special plan for certain people groups. I don't think it's necessary. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when America is just thriving as Americans, we all win. However, Trump rolled out the Platinum Plan back in 2020, and this was a plan specifically for the Black American community. And I didn't even agree with it. I was like, I don't even know why you feel you got to give us something special. Like, just do what you was doing, and we gonna figure it out. Well, some of us, I know some of us just we need to feel special. You know, like we say, my middle son, he always wants something special for him. You be like, I just want something special for me. I understand that. So some of us feel like we need something special for us. So the Platinum Plan, y'all, listen, this is what we missed out on. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it on the screen. I'm going to try. Oh, what's wrong with this mouse? And then I'm done because y'all been on here too long. I'm hungry. I had a bagel today. I wasn't even supposed to have it. Like, that's how hungry I am. And how out of order I am. I had bread. Lord, I know it was wrong and I shouldn't have had it, but I did. So let me share with you guys this Platinum Plan. And when y'all see this, you're going to be like, you know what? We messed up. Like, we messed up. Say what you want. I don't know if you guys noticed. I shared on my channel a news clip or a news segment from last week when I was on News Nation. They wanted me to weigh in because Georgia is, at one point it was considered a battleground state, but they're thinking that Joe Biden is going to lose Georgia. And they wanted to know if I thought if Trump was going to win Georgia. And so I weighed in, gave my little 2 cents. And why did I bring that up? I don't know. I have no idea why I brought that up. But here's the Platinum Plan. And I'm going to try to zoom in some more. Let me close this. How you do that? Okay. Can y'all see that? It's not very large. Let me see. I think I may have a better... I'm going to make this square. And then I'm going to do... Oh, Lord. It's not that great. You might be able to see certain aspects of it. If you can't, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. All right, we're just going to go through this real quick because this is important. Okay. This was the Platinum Plan. Now, I don't know if y'all know anything about what Trump promised the first time, but a lot of what he promised the first time, he actually accomplished. He accomplished a lot. And he did more for black folks than I was expecting. Like, I'm not, like I said, I don't need something special for me. I just need the government to get the heck out my way, get these taxes down, keep energy costs low, keep the border secure. I'm a pretty simple constituent to keep happy. I don't need you to give me anything special. Just get the heck out my way so I can get bread in my own pocket. That is all I want. I am a small government girl. But this platinum plan was his 2020 plan. Like, he was trying to take what he did from 2016 to 2020. He was trying to take this to the next level. This is what we missed out on, black people. These were his pillars that he was offering. 1, opportunity. By achieving historic employment levels for black Americans, as well as increasing access to capital for new businesses, President Trump has been committed to ensuring all black Americans can achieve the American dream. Security. These are things that, these were the pillars of the Platinum Plan. Security. By signing into law the celebrated First Step Act, President Trump has brought common sense criminal justice reform to the American people for the first time in decades, while ensuring that our streets and communities are safe for families and business owners. Prosperity. As the first president to provide long-term funding to historically black colleges and universities, don't miss that, this administration continues to seek immediate and generational advancement for black Americans. And then fairness. As demonstrated throughout his actions to initiate investment into opportunity zones, as well as address health disparities, wage gaps, and necessary educational reforms, President Trump works every day to advance a fair and just America for a black community. Now, believe it or not, this whole aspect right here, this fairness check mark, I didn't even really agree. Outside of the opportunity zones, I don't believe it is the government's job to address health disparities when the vast majority of health disparities are self-inflicted, meaning you can dig your own grave with a knife and a fork. And that is not something I think the government can help you stop doing, right? I don't think the government needs to be involved in addressing health disparities unless we're talking about standards of care, maybe I will grant that. Wage gaps, I don't know what that is. That concerns me when I see that type of languaging, because I believe in America, if we're capitalistic and it's a ladder, you climb the ladder based off on your effort and the value you add to the marketplace. If there's a gap in your wage, it's because you need to get a better job, meaning you might need to add more skills, or you might need to become more valuable in a different way. Right? And then necessary education reforms, I was team that. Meaning, if what he means by education reforms, if he meant school choice, then we don't have no problems. Okay? So, President Trump's response to Black America over 4 years. This was the plan that was never materialized because we were told that 80 million people voted for Joe Biden. So that's just the narrative we're going to go with, right? Increase access to capital in black communities by almost 500 billion. So that's increase, right? 3 million new jobs for the black community. These were his promises. Creating 500 new black-owned businesses. Increase access to capital in black communities by almost 500 billion. Now, to me, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big fan of the affirmative action type lending practices. I understand why some people are. I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to convince me why I need to feel differently about it. But at this point, I don't. Safe urban neighborhoods with highest policing standards. That was something that I could get behind. I was like, yes, absolutely. Commit to working on a second step act. So we already have the first act, right? The First Step Act. Y'all, this nose. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. Commit to working on a second step act. That was also a part of this platinum plan. Access to better education and job training opportunities. That right there is gold. Because if you have access to better education, and the ability to get training for a job in a particular industry or sector, that is valuable. You are becoming more valuable based off your own effort, and then you can compete and chart your own course. So I thought that was good. I liked that part. Give Black churches the ability to compete for federal resources for their community. I'm not a big fan of that part, because once the government start giving you money for resources to your community, then they get to tell you and dictate how that money should be spent. And these Black pimp preacher pulpit pimps, they can't be trusted with money. No. Yeah, you can be mad all you want to, but they all can't be trusted with money. And so I didn't support that aspect of it, because I don't believe most of that money would have ever made it to the community. He meant well, but I don't think he really understood the Black church industrial complex, Church Inc. I don't think he understands that. I could be wrong, open to being wrong. Bring better and tailored health care to address historic, this is weird, because this is over here, but I'm turned this way, and y'all probably like, she's crazy. Like, what is she doing? So why don't we do this? This looks more realistic, don't it? I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, yes. So let's do this. Bring better and tailored health care to address historic disparities. I have questions about that, because I don't know what that means. I don't know what the historic disparities you're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity, that's not a historic disparity. That is a diet and lifestyle reflection in our community that needs to be addressed, but just in American culture in general, we're all too fat, sick, and nearly dead. That's just the truth, right? So I don't know what tailored healthcare is. Like, I don't want the government telling me, I don't know. I need to think through that one a little bit more. But immigration policy that protects American jobs, I'm on board with that. I still am. Because as we can see, what illegal immigration does in terms of driving down wages and doesn't protect American jobs, like your jobs, they go, right? And then advance home ownership opportunities and enhance financial literacy in the Black community. Now, that's a bullet point that I can get behind. I can get behind that, because a lot of what the Black community is experiencing as it relates to wealth generation really has a lot to do with not being literate about the economy and how money works. This is why you can have pavement apes like the people who were at the event that I was at, wanting to know when they're going to get a check, right? Because they don't understand the way money works. They haven't been paying attention to our economy and our national debt. Like, they don't know where the money coming from. They like, just cut it. Who gonna pay for it? I don't know. I just want it. They ain't thought it through. They haven't thought it through. And then the other thing, the last, I think it's a 2-pager. So I'm still on page 1. Onshoring manufacturing to advance jobs and develop opportunities for Black-owned businesses. Y'all, this one right here was huge. Because of the industry that I'm in, all of my suppliers, every single last one of my furniture suppliers were manufacturing in either Malaysia, Vietnam, China, Mexico. High Point used to be the furniture manufacturing capital of the world. No one manufactures. Very few companies still manufacture domestically here. So for him to say he was going to make a priority of onshoring manufacturing to advance jobs and to develop opportunities for Black-owned business, listen, that did it for me. Then he drilled it down to a more granular level. We don't have time to go through all of it. But I just want to challenge people who I can't stomach the thought of voting for Trump because he's just so mean. Oh gosh, he's just so mean, right? You pull up that platinum plan and you tell me if you got something that even remotely looked close to this from Jim Crow Joe. You tell me. And then you compare the two side by side and tell me which one would have put you as a Black American in this country in a better position. In a better position to care for yourself. Not somebody care for you. You care for yourself. And to make some different choices that would have been able to change the trajectory of your family's life as you know it. That's all I'm asking. Like go through page 2. Go through page 2 and just look at what we missed out on. Because instead of coming to a conversation with objective truth, we came with our emotions and allowed pulpit pimps, mainstream media, these fake social justice warriors tell us, he racist, because he racist. So you can't support a racist because he racist. Racists don't develop plans like this, and racists don't actually implement them and work with the people who don't look like them to bring it to pass. But you know what happened? When Ice Cube went to Joe Biden, it was like, hey, can we work together on this, on a plan? Let me just show you what I have. You know what he told them? Talk to me after the election. Have they talked? Cube, holla at your girl. Have you talked to Joe or Kamala? And call you up? Y'all had a, no? Oh, I didn't think so. So what's my point? Aside from my lips being dry, my nose itching a lot, I'm laboring. I'm laboring because I love y'all. And I'm tired of seeing my people brainwashed and subjugated and being a prisoner of their own minds and their own hatred in their hearts. It saddens me to see that. It saddens me that when we hear someone say so-and-so is racist, that we don't even move past the statement to see, let me listen to what they said in the context that they said it, and then judge for myself. When we heard people say that, Ron DeSantis didn't want nobody in the state of Florida to learn Black history. Like when you heard that, you should have been like, wait a minute. That sounds really crazy from a man who went out of his way to develop one of the most robust school choice programs in the nation. Why would he not want people to learn Black history? Maybe I need to look into what they're saying he said to see if he actually said that and if that's what really happened. But we didn't do that. Somebody told us, we had heard somebody cousin and them say that Ron DeSantis said that and we ran with it. And when someone like me comes along and be like, he didn't say that, that's not what happened, you can't even hear me because your mind and your thoughts and opinions are so warped by hatred and just confirmation bias. Like you want to affirm and believe with all your heart that these people actually hate you and want what's worse for you, that you won't even be like, you know what? I really never heard him say that. I know the media is saying he said that, but I didn't hear him say that. Let me look into it to find the truth. We're not doing that. And so therefore, the Democrats have figured out that if we just keep the average low information voter like even more dumbed down, then we can stay in power. Like they'll keep voting for us and we ain't got to make no sort of like promises to do anything to improve their conditions. We don't have to do it. And so therefore, my overall assessment of the debate was that it didn't change anybody's mind who was already going to vote for Trump, because if you were already deciding to vote for Trump, you know exactly, like you can articulate with much clarity why you're voting for him. And I think there are people who went into this going into it with the understanding or the confidence that they were going to vote for Joe Biden. They saw exactly what the rest of us saw, but they are still trying to figure out a way how they can explain it away and justify voting for him, not because he's presented anything of value that's going to improve their life, but simply because the orange man must be bad. And so therefore, I got to vote for the dead guy, like the practically dead guy, right? And then you had some undecided people who, let me take this down. I'm tired of looking at this. Then you had the undecided people who, a lot of them, not all, but most of them don't really have a reason why they want to vote for Joe. But they agree on like some of the policies for Trump, but they can't emotionally get past what they've been told about him. Is that man polished? Absolutely not. He from Queens, y'all. Like, I'm not making excuses for the man, but us New York people, aside from having like some seriously intense professional coaching and training, we're pretty gutter. I'm sorry. We just listen. It's us, right? We just down to earth. What you see is what you get. Meaning, who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was talking to Henry from A Critical Perspective, and we were talking about how New Yorkers communicate. And I'm the one that told him, I said, listen, now I'm going to tell you, this is what you need to know about New Yorkers. I said, they tend to, like, it's not everybody, because there are some people from New York that don't do this, but this is a cultural thing. And if you're from New York, I just need you to type in the chat if you agree with me. A lot of New Yorkers, y'all know we're real animated. We're real animated, right? Because everything moves so fast in New York. So you kind of just, you just gotta go. You know, you don't want nobody to know what your next move is. So you're always moving, always going. But when it comes to how we communicate, New Yorkers tend to embellish a lot. Like if there's a story, like if it's a story that can just be told plain straight to the point, we can't do that. Like we have to, it's gotta be big and it's gotta be grand and it's gotta be dramatic and dramotional, because I don't know what it is. It's just how we are. But a lot of people have issues with President Trump's communication style because it is very gutter. It is so Queens, New York. It's not even funny. We don't really sanitize a lot. Like I said, unless you've had professional coaching and someone has trained you to dial that back a little bit, you say what you say and you mean what you mean. And the pretense, you're like, well, why I need to put on a pretense? Like, why do I need to filter? Why can't you just accept me in all of my braggadociousness? Like, that's just how New Yorkers are. You either love it or you hate it. I'm from there and I hate it. So it is what it is. But I understand it. I understand the cultural dynamic of it. And to be honest, it was what this country needed. Like, after you've had 8 years of just weak, rainbow flag, White House lighting up, it's raining men. After you had 8 years of just weak, you ready for something different. Like the American people were like, listen, we need somebody that's gonna go over there to North Korea and just step their toe across the line and be like, now what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just needed somebody that's going like, okay, so I'm here now with what? Like, I'm in North Korea now. Like, Trump was the first person to do that. He stood there like, and there was no war. Right? Xi Jinping, you need somebody that's going to be like, listen, partner, let me tell you something. You're going to pay your fair share, and you're going to do it. Trust me, I know you're going to do it. And it's going to be this amount, and that's how it's going to be. And send the paperwork over. And then you hang up. Like, listen, we're not playing games with you. We're not negotiating with terrorists. We're not doing that. This is America, pimpin'. Like, listen, I said all of that to say the debate. It is obvious that Trump outperformed President Joe Biden just on the basis of being able to stand there and speak. It was a very low bar. I don't think many people, it may have swung. Here's what's gonna happen. Some people are gonna go to the polls and hold their nose and vote for Trump because they're like, there's no way. I don't feel safe voting for Joe Biden. I don't even think Joe Biden gonna make it to November, okay? So some people were doing that. But then there's just some people, they can't see, they're so brainwashed and blinded by hatred in their heart that all they can be like, well, what about his adultery? Listen, he a sinner. Like, he wicked and sinful. That's what wicked and sinful people do. They sure do. And they need repentance and forgiveness of their sin. They do. President Trump is no different. Like, I don't understand. This is a job. This is a role he is playing. And if he were in the running to be a candidate for your elder board, you should absolutely not vote for him. Because under the qualifications of an elder, he wouldn't qualify. He's not above reproach. Come on now. He wasn't a one-woman man. Like, have the emotional maturity enough to make the proper category distinctions and be like, okay, this is the job. This is the job description. Here are his qualifications. Here are the results that he's able to provide. Do I think he's the best man for the job? Yeah, well, in light of the qualifications and what he has presented that he can, offer the country, yeah, we're just going to have to go with this guy because we can't go with the other one. But all that emotional argumentation, like, oh, he's just not nice and he's so mean and I just need somebody presidential. Like, hey, grow up, okay? You got to grow up. At some point, you're going to have to recognize this is not a popularity contest. This is not, a beauty contest. This is not, a congeniality contest. It's none of that. It is none of that. Is Joe Biden nicer? I mean, depending on how you look at it, like, in the realm of nice old white guys, yes, I'm sure he is. But that's I don't... Old, nice white guys cannot gain respect on the world stage. I'm sorry. They just can't. So I'm going with the really tall, New York state of mind, braggadocious, sloppy, communicate. Like, I'm going with that guy. Yeah, that's the one I'm going with. And, the platinum plan was pretty dope. We missed out though. Now I don't know if there's like a platinum 2.0 plan, but I don't agree with all of it. There's some issues in it that I'm like, yeah, I don't think we need that. But the safety and justice, the better and cheaper health care, that is a national problem. The jobs component, yay. And then that funding and capital. I think access to funding and capital needs to just be better across the board, not on the basis of what you look like. But that's just me. And then the educational opportunity, school choice, all the way. Let me take my money to do what I wilt for my children as it relates to their education. That's just where I am, hands down. So anyway, you guys, I'm out. My nose is itching. It's not going to stop anytime soon. I had some resources that I wanted to share with y'all, but I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. My nose is running. It's not running. It's just, it's, ugh. Whenever I do a show that I am pouring my everything into, halfway through the show, my nose starts to itch. It's a thing. And now the ceiling fan is on. I don't think it's the ceiling fan. I just think it's a histamine issue that I don't know what to do about it. And my nose does not do this when I'm not on camera. My nose does not do this just when I'm just in the house doing nothing. It is only when I'm on camera doing a live stream, talking for a long, extended amount of time about a topic that I'm really passionate about. It happens. And I don't know what it is. Because how many times can you wipe it? Like if something was there, it would be off by now. Y'all see how red my nose is? Right there. There's nothing on my nose. But it is straight itching like it's got poison ivy or something. It's just itching. It's like somebody got a feather and they like, it's messed up. Well, let me see if I got a little time. I don't know. The only resources I have for you guys tonight in regards to the event that I went to, for those of you who share my ethnic image and you are struggling with embracing your identity that should be in Christ alone, I have this for you. This is called Worthy. And it is a study on embracing your identity in Christ. If you spend any time under Black liberation theology, if you spend any time in the Black conscious movement, if you spend any time in the Nation of Islam, anything that elevated your ethnicity or something else above the preeminence of Christ, it's not even a good study just for that, but as it relates to what I covered tonight, I think it is. Some of us just need to know who we are. And I ain't talking about who you are, like where your mama from, where your daddy from. Like, no, who are you? Okay? This study is a 4-week study for believers to help you to understand who God says that you are and who you are in Christ, right? So that's what Worthy is. Go ahead and grab your copy today. And you can do that here at standardhomeandliving.com. That is the Standard of Truth lifestyle brand. That is the store, home to all things that you want to buy to enrich your spiritual life, to aid in your spiritual, your sanctification and your growth. The other one is this one, Sharing Our Faith. Sharing Our Faith is a little thicker, right? This one is how loving others through evangelism. I need to go through this again because at that event, I was so emotionally invested in the fact that some of the foolishness that these guys were saying, that I am sure that I missed a gospel opportunity because I allowed my emotions to overtake me. And for that, I had to apologize, had to repent, apologize to my husband, apologize to a few people who know me and who know I know better. And they were so gracious. They were like, girl, you was fine. He was out. I was like, yeah, I know, but I gotta, if I'm an ambassador for Christ and I am representing Christ on the world stage, no matter where I go, I should be honoring Christ as Lord in my heart first. And I should have been looking for opportunities to give the gospel to people. And at this event, I mean, the environment, it's not like it was a strip club. It was a public place that happens to sell cigars. I don't smoke cigars. I have before, but it make you stink for several days at a time. But Sharing Our Faith, it is just one of those books that I probably need to go through again. Only because it just helps you keep evangelism on the forefront of your mind, because making disciples is really supposed to be our main why. Politics is nice, but y'all, politics cannot save you. Right? Like, honestly, we get the work, we get the leaders we deserve. And that ain't saying much because we deserve whatever we get. We do. We really do. If the best that this country has to offer is a prideful, at times braggadocious narcissist who just really knows how to grow an economy, then that's what we deserve. And if the country deserves a senile, mentally incompetent, white guy who's exchanging favors, foreign favors, for money with a crackhead son and was doing weird stuff, to like his grandbabies and kids, listen, then that's what we deserve. Hey, sin make you stupid. Okay, but scripture will set you straight. So politics can't save you. It is great for us to be engaged, and I do believe believers need to be actively engaged in the political process. But apart from Christ, none of this is it. Listen, politics can't save you. Conservatism cannot save you. You could be real nice and conservative and moral and bust hell wide open. You sure can, right? Because our justification hinges on: have you repented of your sin and placed your faith in Christ alone? Right? Have you come to the end of yourself, recognizing that you can't even be a good person to merit the grace from God that is required for his blood, his shed blood, to be atoned and applied to your account? You can't be good enough. So being nice and moral and being a Republican, there's no value in that. I mean, outside of it, it might create for a better society because, truth be told, I hang with conservatives all the time, and we don't have them kind of problems where fights be breaking out and folks be showing out and stuff. I'm sorry. If I sound a little elite, if there's a little elitism there, it's because we don't have those kinds of problems. When conservatives get together, it's all love. How you doing? Look, I dare you to go to a Trump rally. You could be like, yo, these people are pretty happy. Like, they're passionate about the cause, but they're pretty happy. And, people will offer you a blanket if it's cold, an umbrella if it's wet and rainy. They'll fan you if it's hot with their little Trump signs. Like, everything that the media tries to tell you, how these people, those people, the white supremacists are, they are nothing like that. Listen, I ain't never felt safer than at a MAGA rally, okay? Listen, I'm just saying. I need the air horn for that one. The amount of firearm protection up in that place, I ain't never felt safer. I'm just saying. So, the last resource that I want to share with you guys, and this is what I was really struggling with at the event on Wednesday. This one's The Fruit of the Spirit. It is a study on how to walk by the Spirit and to bear fruit. Y'all, we gonna miss the mark. That's just the reality. All of us at some point will miss the mark. And, the way the pavement apes and the lefticals was acting, like it, in my opinion, I felt like I missed the mark. Because instead of me just kind of sitting and kind of being quiet and just shaking my head in silence, y'all know my face is not sanctified. But at the event, my mouth wasn't that sanctified. Because I really did I told that man, like, I asked him, I was like, I need you to show me where on your body did it hurt you when you saw that monument. Like, I was dead serious. Okay, I was clowning. I was. Because I just couldn't believe that a whole grown man would, have such a physical reaction over a monument like this. This is what had him wilding. Y'all, he was wilding over this. And I couldn't do it. I don't know. So the point I'm making is that the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, self-control, that is the self-control that did it for me. Y'all, Robert had to sit me down like at least twice, like literally like tap my head and push me back down in my seat. That happened twice. And then when they really started showing out and getting out of control, if that's you, go and grab fruit of the Spirit I probably need this one too. Praise God. This is a short one. This one is, how many weeks is this? I don't even think I ever finished this one. This study is let me tell y'all so I don't misspeak. This is a 3-week study on walking by the Spirit and bearing fruit. As a nice little friendly reminder that we all will miss the mark, but we are constantly being sanctified and conformed to the image of Christ. And there are going to be times and situations and circumstances where you're going to be like, yeah, that wasn't my best. That wasn't my best. I was upset, and I don't know. I need to, I was talking to someone who told me, he was like, you know what happened to you? He was like, you fell for the trap. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, that's exactly what the agitators, the Marxists, that's their tactic. Their tactic is to be a distraction and to start talking about dumb stuff that don't make no sense in order to emotionally bait you into an argument. He was like, you fell for it. I was like, I sure did. I was like, they got me. I was like, they got me good, because I was ready to go. Because I was like, homie, like you got to come with something better than this. I was ready. They got me. They did. It worked. So if any of the melanated Marxists, the paid agitators, ever watched this video, it worked. Cause yeah, y'all got me off my game. But it's okay, right? You know why? Because there's freedom in Christ. There's repentance available for me. As long as I can recognize my sin when it happens, and the conviction of the Holy Spirit bears witness, like, now, y'all, when it was happening, it was like an out-of-body experience. It was like I saw myself, and I was telling myself, I was seeing, like I was interacting with my own self outside of myself. And even Robert and I talked about, he was like, don't tell me you couldn't help it. I was like, no, I'm not saying I couldn't help it. I said, what happened was I saw myself knowing that myself needed to pipe down, but I just blew right past the restraint. I did. And sin does that to you, doesn't it? You just blow right past the restraint. Next thing you know, you're like, how this happen? How I get here? How did I get here? So those are the studies that I have. They really are ministering to me tonight. The fruit of the Spirit. Going to get that one. Sharing our faith. Don't let these crazy opportunities allow you to miss out on gospel opportunities to share the love of Christ and to tell people, you know why you so mad? Because you don't know Jesus. And let me tell you what Jesus do. When he come in your heart, like he just melt away all that stoniness, the stony rocky. It just, you know what I'm saying? Like he needed Jesus and I missed the mark, right? And then worthy. You know, for the blackity blacks who just love, they just wallow and bathe and cologne. They got the blackness cologne. They got the whole layer kit, the deodorant, the shea butter, the blackness lotion, and then the lip gloss, like the whole layered blackness ensemble. Yeah, your identity needs to be hidden in Christ, because there's no value in the blackness. I just wanted to share that with you guys tonight. So on that note, I'm going to go scratch my nose off camera. I mean, I've scratched it enough, but it's really going through right now. So I'm going to go and let me see. There's several super chats that I missed. So let me, oh no, wait a minute. I'm going to acknowledge those because I do love you guys and I'm so grateful for your support. So let me move that over here. And let's see, who did we miss? Connie, hey girl. She said free April. I don't know, y'all. Robert, okay, so here's the punishment. He said, see, this is why I don't feel comfortable you going to events like this by yourself. Because he was like, had I not been here, I don't know what would have happened. That's exactly what he said. He was like, I had to calm you down several times, sit your little tail down. I had to mash you on your head. I had to lean over. He was like, you just wasn't getting it. And so he said, I have to prove, I don't know what the probationary period is, but I have to prove that I have learned to temper and to control the rabbit chipmunk on the inside. I have to figure out a way to contain it. It's gonna be the power of the Holy Spirit, because I can't. I already know I can't do it in my own strength. So it's gonna be through the power of the Holy Spirit. But I will relay the message, because he has left, that I do want to be free and off punishment. I don't know. I don't know when it's gonna happen. I don't know. He said he would get back to me. So, Brother Derek, thank you, friend. He said, be nice to all strangers. You do not know which one is packing with an attitude. Listen, one day these leftovers gonna pop off with the wrong person, and it's gonna be a problem. And see, I think that's the issue that I have, is that a lot of times when they come to these events and act this way, they really forget about the such were some of you part. Like, not these events. I'm talking about, like, if you're a Christian and, maybe before Christ, okay, yeah. All right, I told you I had choked that girl out one time. I'm not proud. There's nothing to be proud of. Violence is never the answer. But the point I'm making is, why do they think a lot of times not every conservative is a Christian, but why do they think if you are conservative that like we not we don't throw hands and believe in the Second Amendment? Like, why are you trying people like this? That's the part that bothers me, and that's the part that I don't like placating. Like, Christianity is a religion of peace, but it is not one of pacifism, right? Like, we will protect us, our persons, and those that are important to us. But it's not one of nonviolence. It is one of, we don't initiate the aggression. That's what it is for me. But I don't know where they got off the idea that, we just gonna, lay down and let you talk to us any old kind of way. Ooh, oh no. Like, my words, we gonna season them with some salt. But, if necessary, you put your hands on me, it's over. I'm just saying. Because I'm not a gun control person. Like, I am a 2A, how many more guns can I get kind of person, right? Like, that's me. Thank you, Catherine Bangle. How are you, beautiful? She says, I love your channel. Girl, I love my channel too. I do. I'm learning to really enjoy talking with you guys and presenting my thoughts and opinions from my perspective, from a biblical worldview. I am just enjoying this entire ride. So thank you so much for your support and your love gift tonight. Brother Derek said, Weekend at Biden's, the movie, it did seem a little bit, y'all. I got a friend who texted me earlier today. Let me tell y'all what she said. She said, this part was so sad. She said that Biden went to a rally after Jill helped him off the stage, and he thanked the people of North Carolina for their support. Y'all, he wasn't in North Carolina. He wasn't. But he thanked the North Carolinians. We deserve this. We do. Derek says, he said, I got beef with Biden. His policies drove me out of my job. Listen, Brother Derek, it takes everything in me to, I might share it one day, but He drove you out your job, and this economy is driving me out of business. That's just a fact. And it is sad when I saw. Now, there's a furniture store that's been in our community for like 120 something years. And when I asked them why they were, I asked the company that they hired to handle their liquidation, I asked them why they were going out of business. And they claimed that it was just time. You know, they just kind of wanted to get out the industry and retire and do other things. That might be true. But I don't believe that, because right before then, a very large furniture supplier, Klausner, went out of business with no warning, no advance notice. Like, the plant just shut down. And Klausner was a very large supplier for this one particular furniture store that I am referring to. And there were stories for weeks of furniture stores all over this country that closed up shop and went out of business because they were like, this economy, we are trying to figure out, we can't get no more creative with financing and pricing than we already are. This is giving me 2008 vibes, recession vibes. That's what they were saying. This Read Furniture Today magazine, it's an industry magazine that I subscribe to every week. So-and-so, third year generation family store, going out of business. Independence. There are actually home stores that closed. Home stores. Like, when Ashley is the largest furniture manufacturer in the world. They're the largest. And then what people also don't understand is that Ashley Furniture Industries is actually a logistics company that happens to sell and manufacture furniture. They started out as a furniture company, but they're actually a logistics company. And when I saw home stores closing up, and I saw the price of fuel and freight being so unsteady, I was like, this is bad. It is really bad. So I hear you. And listen, Brother Derek, me and you are here. This is personal for me. At the height of Trump's presidency, I had 2 retail locations. I had a distribution center, warehouse, and I had a 1, 2, 3, the DC, the Conyers, Covington, and upwards to 11 employees at the height and 6 for the most part. Like, everybody was eating. Everybody was, y'all remember meatball? Everybody must eat. Like, everybody was eating. Everybody was eating. And by spring of 2022, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. And I had to close one store, and one by one, employees couldn't find nobody, didn't know how to want to work. All that stimulus money. And then you couldn't afford to keep nobody. So you had 2 problems. You couldn't find employees, and then the ones you did find didn't want to work. And then when revenues drop, you got to make a decision. You people are relying on you for their paychecks to take care of their families, and then you got to be like, I gotta let you go. So it was horrible. Faith Jarman, thank you so much for this super chat. She says, thank you for your comment on my video. Oh, you are welcome. Thank you for stopping by and for visiting the Standard of Truth podcast. So glad to have you over here. Praise God. Brother Bob Paul said, was watching you on All Things Theology regarding Sarah Jakes Roberts. Oh, Lord. Did the Jakes fans have the live stream job? If so, that was nasty. What it was is that footage actually belonged to TBN. And TBN, kind of like iHeartMedia, that's where the Breakfast Club is over on. They don't like people using their content. And so what they do is anytime you use their content, especially if you're not celebrating them and you're talking about one of their false teachers, what they do is they'll file a copyright claim, not a strike, but a copyright claim against the channel. They won't let you monetize it. And they'll yank the stream down. So I have told y'all that I have a very laser focused plan with being on YouTube. I recognize that my YouTube shelf life is very short. I will not be here in 5 years. I know that. So I've got bigger plans beyond YouTube. However, when you're on YouTube, you have to play by the rules and the community guidelines and standards. And so what I do is I have a method that I use. If you notice, I was able to put a segment of that video up on my own channel. And you just have to know, you gotta learn the ropes. You gotta learn what to do. And I that's why a lot of times certain content, if you see me do a video on it, you won't see me share the video, but you will hear the audio. You just gotta kind of manipulate the footage a little bit, or else, it'll be you'll have a copyright issue. So hopefully that answers your question, Brother Bob. Hey, Sister Michelle, how are you? She said, April, I am amazed at how the president lies and gaslights, as well as his administration. This must be what 2 Thessalonians 2, 9 through 12 is action looks like. So sad. I'm so glad that I know that listen, we got to cling to crisis, because if we don't, you will literally go crazy and have all kinds of anxiety and distress trying to figure out what the heck is our country doing. Because here's the thing though. I blame the media, the social media apparatus, the mainstream media, and I blame the DNC, because all of them have been running interference for the Biden administration. They've all been lying. They've all been telling us that Joe is strong and capable, and he's in the best mental shape ever. Like, they've been telling us that for the past couple of years, and they've been lying. And a lot of us saw it, but most people, who are already in support of the president, they see it too, but they just keep lying to themselves. So it's horrible to watch. But thank you so much for your super chat, Sister Michelle. I'm glad that you give us this sobering reminder from 2 Thessalonians, because if you don't cling to Christ and know that you know Jesus, we'll be so unstable. Like, it would be really bad. Brother Derek said, Trump may do well in Georgia with more blacks going for him in 2024. But Biden still has a strong base among the dead voting bloc. Facts. All those dead people on the rolls. He's got a very strong base there. Well, they gonna cheat. Like, they wouldn't be Democrats if they didn't cheat. Now, truth be told, let's let the truth be told. Republicans cheat too. They do. Democrats are just better. They're better at it when they cheat. They're so much better because they just so evil. Both sides have their own evil, wicked tendencies that they do. See, the right will lie to you and tell you that there is no election. Some people on the right will tell you that there's no election integrity issue because they're in on it. And then the left will just outright deny and be like, you just making stuff up. So that happens. AJJ, woohoo! God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for this super chat. He says, for your next round, oh gosh, of bagels on behalf of the cackler and the crow, aka Auntie Cackles, aka Kamala and the Jim Crow Joe. Oh, you got bars. Hold on, AJJ. Listen, I'm not supposed to have bread, okay? But since you blessed me with this super chat, let me space it out. When can I have it? I can have bread. If I had a bagel today, I might, maybe next Wednesday. Thank you. Thank you so much for this super chat. This is very kind and gracious of you, in spite of the fact that I'm like on camera, like scratching my nose incessantly because it won't stop itching. You blessed me today with this love gift in the form of a super chat. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Because listen, when I say my nose is wilding right now, I'm going to just go. Oh, I won't stop. It won't stop. I know the folks out there like, you know what? I think she do coke. I'm sorry. Y'all, but y'all know coke addicts are always going like this, right? Because their septum, it's been chewed out from the cocaine. Y'all, I don't use illicit drugs. So let me just dispel that myth. Because I'm not going to lie, like the first couple of times when my nose started doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm like a coke addict or something. I really thought that. And I was like, no, people wouldn't think that. I was like, well, you kind of do look like a coke addict. Because I went back and watched some of that content. And I was like, yeah, I do. I'm just saying. I know you thought it. You ain't want to say it. Because you're like, she said she loved Jesus, though. I don't know. That's not it. It has to be some sort of histamine allergy or something. India's cracking up because she like, you know what I was wondering? Listen, I know I've had people in my family from crackheads, cokeheads, dope fiends, alcoholics. Like, I've seen it all. I know the signs of somebody do coke. Normally, if they've been doing it for like a really long and extended time, they have a persistent runny nose. Like the nose is always running, and their septum, the little, the thing that divides, is chewed out. It's just gone. I have my full septum intact. This is on the surface of my nose, not inside my nose. Just to be clear, okay? Thank you, Brother Derek. But I don't know why I felt led to tell y'all. I need to clarify. I don't do that, okay? Okay? So, yes. But, yes, I need bread in my pocket, dancing with all things. I do. I'm going to ask him if he'll let me hold something. Ask him if he'll let me hold that sound effect. I absolutely love that sound effect. I really do. But anyway, all right, y'all. It's tomorrow. It is tomorrow. Tomorrow, later today, I will be on News Nation again. They want me back to weigh in on the debate now that it's happened. And it's at 10:30. I don't know if it's live or not. I don't have cable TV. So unless they put it on their social media or YouTube, I won't be able to see it. Now, they'll send me a copy of it. But we'll see. Keep me in your prayers for that I would, be able to articulate in a winsome fashion my thoughts and how I felt about the debate and whatever they ask me. I always just want to represent you guys well. I don't want to embarrass my husband. And, if given the opportunity, I want to make much of Christ. So that's tomorrow at 10:30. So I kind of need to go to bed because I got to get up and I got to hop on with News Nation in the morning, which I'm super excited for that opportunity. I want to shout out to Janelle King, who passed my name on to the producers over there to be like, hey, I think you'd be interested in what, she thinks. Holler at her. She's available for an interview. So kind of that's how all of that started. So praise God for opportunities and open doors and all of that good stuff like that. And I will, whatever's going on here, I'm telling you, tomorrow it's like it never happened. That's how it always is with this nose thing. I don't know what it is. But, right. He said, I trust Mr. Chapman. Yeah, that's the person you need to trust. Absolutely the person you need to trust. So thank you to so many of you who supported this particular live stream tonight by way of your super chats. Your support allows me to continue to keep going, creating great content, making sure that my editor that's been helping me now, that I can, break him off a little something because people don't work for free. I'm working on, I told you guys I'm working on a project that is really just going to help people who are either exiting churchianity or in churchianity and don't quite know what to do or where to go from here, I'm working on a project specifically for them. So if that is you, I want you to, I will pin to the top of the comment section in this video, probably tomorrow sometime. I'll chop this one up. And that way you can give, all I need is your name and your email if that's something that you're interested in. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you guys have a great night. Get some rest, because I'm just going to go wash my face or exfoliate or something. I exfoliated today. So this is really strange. I don't know. But I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Until next time, grace and peace, you guys.